Earth is very flat.
Hey, it is Tuesday, April 13th, 2021. This is Brandon Toy. Give me 1 second. Looks like I'm having some technical issues. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, folks. It was puking on us, and I needed to restart OBS. So anyway, good to see everybody in chat. How y'all doing tonight? Hopefully you can hear me. Let's see if my levels are good. It looks like it. Am I low? Let me know if my voice is low out there. Anyway, yeah, glitchy. Yeah, I think it should be fixed now, or is my voice glitchy? Paige, let me know. You guys are 30 seconds behind me, so I don't know if it's glitchy after I reset it or what. But let me know. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Well, I'll run through who is in chat. Hopefully you guys can coming through low over here though. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought I might be a little low. Let me play around with that for a minute and see if I can make it louder. How's that? Probably not much better, huh? Let me see what's going on here. What the heck is going on here? Hello, 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 hello. Let me play with something here. Hello, 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 hello. That's what it is. Hello. Is that better? All right, let me know if that's any better or if I'm way too loud now. Maybe now I'm way too loud. I have no idea. No clue. But sounds good. Okay, cool. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Thanks for helping me troubleshoot that. Apologize for those listening back. Chrissy, Hevie, what's up? Taking back Eden. YouTube, Bill G, FE probably. Ian Adams, Dan Morris, page 42. Hobbs, Whitesword, what's up, Whitesword? Rob the Truth, Flatsoid FE. Scrolling up, Silent Zero, Anthony Burrows, and Paige was first tonight. So congratulations to Paige for the win there. That's a good accomplishment. Anyway, what do we got tonight? There was some interesting video and an interesting article I ran across that we're going to talk about. As you are probably aware, the government has been slowly teasing and releasing quote-unquote UFO videos. And there was another big one that came out within the last couple days that I caught. I wanted to look at that together and see what you guys thought. And talk about why the heck they're doing what they're doing and what exactly is going on. Oh, and I see we're glitching out again, huh? Oh, man, is it going to be one of those nights? All right, let me see if I can fix this. Okay, hopefully that fixed it up. I'm going to be trying to do something in the background here to get this cleaned up a little bit here. I don't know why it's doing that. And it might be Discord. There we go. Okay, restarting. So anyway, yeah, the government has been teasing and releasing these videos. I don't know what exactly their purpose is or why they're doing this or where this is headed, but supposedly in June, they're going to release some kind of cache of their knowledge or report on UFO activity. So who knows what they're up to. There's been a lot of talk about this before with Project Blue Book and what's the name of that one where they're gonna fake an alien invasion? Is that Blue Book? I'll ask the panel when I get in there. Can't quite remember. Let me know if everything sounds good now. But okay, yep, looks like it does. All right, cool. And it's not glitching much anymore. Have to keep an eye on it tonight. Man, it was working so good there for so long. Hopefully we don't go back to how it was before. Anyway, so without further ado, let me get to the panel. I'll drop you guys the link for Streamlabs if you want to use that. That's much appreciated, but Super Chat is fine as well. It doesn't really matter. This cuts Google out of the middle. And if you want to join the show, you can come in Discord. The link is in the description. If that doesn't work for you, just ping me in the chat. You might have to hit me up a couple times if I'm not paying too much attention, and I will get you a link. And somebody else might be able to get you a link too if they're in the YouTube chat. But come on in. You can play with the chat trolls if you're into that sort of thing. Hang out in the room. You don't have to say anything, or you can join the conversation. You can even do a presentation if you want to. It's an open panel, so come on in. All right, let's see what's going on in the Discord and check and see how everybody's doing.
You invoke an equator, an imaginary line. Then you invoke 22 degrees north, another imaginary line. Then you invoke the flat Earth. So you're already 3 levels of inception already before
yeah,
you even got to what you're going to do.
It's impossible for this experiment to have any meaning to you.
It's just a measurement. It's just a measurement.
Yeah. So once you've gotten that far into inception, you've layered on 3 levels of bullshit before you even got to your test.
So you deny that there's a point on Earth that's called the equator, that's 90 degrees from the North Pole?
I'm not going to call that place the equator and then invoke a ball. There is a place that's 90 degrees south, yeah, or at the middle, or what you would call it. But that can fit multiple different ideas. And that is based off a measurement from Polaris.
Okay, let's say it like this. All right, at the middle, the ground speed of the sun is measured at 1,000 miles an hour. At some place north of the equator, it's measured at 800 miles an hour. Now, if the Earth was flat at some equal distance south of that equator, the ground speed should be 1,200 miles an hour. But
if you
measure that ground speed south of the equator at 800, just like you did north of the equator, that would indicate a ball.
Okay, it would indicate a ball of the exact size and shape described?
No, just say a ball.
Okay, so this experiment or this measurement uses the sun to measure flat or ball, but you can't find any way of doing this better? This is the only way to measure.
This measurement, hold on, Crit. This measurement will show us the ground speed of the subsolar point and if it's going faster or slower as it gets towards its outer circle.
Yes.
Now you'd have to come up with some very creative thinking for this to happen on a flat plane. If it's the way they say it, if it's the subsolar point is the speed they say it is, that's all.
Okay, so this is a way to falsify flat Earth, and it has nothing to do with what the nature of creation is.
What if it's just a refracted sun?
It could falsify the globe.
What's a falsification for the globe?
If the speeds are getting faster, then it's clearly not a globe. They need it to go slower to faster at the equator, back to slower again. We can't have that on a flat. If the sun's circling above us on a flat plane, we can't have those speeds like that. Well, you could, but it would, like I said, it takes some very creative thinking.
All right, we'll just jump on board then, because these measurements have been done already. Just go to your timeanddate.com, write the information down, and just say, hey, you're on board. And meanwhile, I'll still know that the Earth presents itself as flat and stationary. It's the sun that's moving. It's not the Earth, and there's no curve. So
it would be see, this is a good point. So it would be a reject.
You just cut out.
Not at all. I got them.
Oh, you did, okay.
This is not me rejecting anything. This is you, I think, or not you, okay, a person, trying to invoke rotation, trying to invoke curvature by measuring a shadow. That, to me, is, like I said earlier, multiple levels of inception. To talk about everything other than curve. Yeah, you want to see how long this shadow lasts, or lack of a shadow. This object at point A on Earth will cast no shadow for X amount of time. That X amount of time could be anything you want it to be. And then you'll take that measurement.
You're still not getting it.
Okay, well, how long? Okay, what you're looking for is no shadow, right? Under the subsolar point, correct?
Yeah, and click, mark that time.
Okay,
then go to another place some distance away and click, mark that time. Measure the distance and how long it takes to cover that distance will give you a ground speed.
Okay, now forget about the ground speed. Tell me about these shadows. How long will it will it cast no shadow?
I don't know, a couple of minutes, something like
Okay, so using the globe, it should cast no shadow for a couple of minutes. I'd like to see that. How did you make that prediction? Show me the sun moving, or show me the Earth rotating in such a way, the speed of light, the height of the object. Show me this perfect down to the last detail. Because if the default position is going to be ball Earth with massive sun, all these things should be predicted. Perfect.
They are. They are.
Okay, let's see it then. Don't worry about flat Earth anymore.
Time and date.
Yeah, see, Jeremy, you get it? See what he's doing there?
What Jeremy would essentially be doing is confirming time and date. And it's just a method. He wants to do it himself to confirm that time and date, is accurate.
Okay, why not just hand wave it and say time and date is accurate and go with that?
Well, if you accept it, I mean, it's not a matter of hand waving. It's a matter of accepting.
So what's up,
now,
guys?
If Jeremy did discover a ground, hey, Brandon.
Hey, sorry, there was a lull there. I thought maybe it was a good time to interrupt you. We're live now. Hope everybody's doing good. I see we have Jeremy in here, Dr. Bob. Ed is my #1 fan, which I'm assuming is Crit, Jace,
yes, sir.
Left Lane Howard, and Adam Meekin. What's going on, guys?
Hey.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Hey.
Any mind-blowing revelations happened in the last 24 hours that I should be aware of?
One of them, but good evening, Brandon.
Hey, Adam. No? Well, I've got one for you guys. I don't know if you caught the news. There's been another little blurb leaked out from the government regarding UFOs and a couple new videos. I don't know if you guys are too interested in this stuff, but this comes straight from the Pentagon. The Pentagon confirmed videos. Although there's some question as to what's actually in the videos. They themselves are briefing intelligence, according to these articles, that they're encouraging information collection and reporting of UFO, unidentified aerial phenomena, sightings and interactions. And it sounds like they're quite common. We can talk about what they are, but let me just show you these videos first. And these have been confirmed by the Pentagon, by these reporters, as being genuine. So I am sharing in Discord, and I'll make it a little bigger for the YouTube audience. You guys can take a look. Tell me what you think is going on here and what they're up to. Okay, should be playing now. Is there sound? No. So there's a triangle craft. There's actually a video of that one. Now this one, if you read it in this article, this was at sea, close to a Navy ship. I can't remember the name of the Navy ship. But it descended into the water. And then they had a sub. They went over to check it out, look for wreckage or whatever. They had a sub go check it out. Couldn't find it. So evidently, whatever this technology is, whatever's going on here, is some kind of craft that can go from the air and do maneuvers that we don't have public capability of being able to do, to the water. And they've got a name for this. I can't remember what it is, but it was some new fancy name that they called it. Let me see if I can find it. Dual medium craft or something like that, which they say, they've never seen before. Evidently they don't think it's possible. And those triangle crafts, what they're actually calling them is pyramid-shaped crafts, which is pretty strange. Just let me read these briefing blurbs here. So the first event was a series described involves the USS Russell. The UAP took place in 2019. in the warning area off of San Diego. And they observed and recorded multiple pyramid-shaped craft. Observation of this encounter series were noted in detail. And then another one was an event series described involved the USS Omaha. They recorded a spherical-shaped craft. The spherical craft was suspected to be trans-medium vehicle and was observed descending into the water without destruction. It is noted that the spherical craft could not be found upon entry to the water and that a submarine was used in the search. Observations of this encounter series were noted in detail. And then there's a third one here. And this had to do with an F-18 pilot and a weapons systems officer. It took place in another warning area. And let's see, they captured 3 different craft on the same sortie with the same cell phone. So they took a picture of it with a cell phone. I'll show you that video. They called one the Acorn UAP, the Metal Blip with Payload UAP, and the Sphere UAP. Pretty strange. And then here is another video. This gives a little more detail. I think these are the pyramid crafts. Now, some people have tried to say that this is some kind of digital artifact from blinking lights that are off to the side. I can't remember what the name for it is. Bokeh? Something like that. I'm not so sure. That looks like a solid object to me, although there's always a possibility that that's some kind of lens reflection or whatever. And it does blink in a pattern, supposedly, that is consistent with aviation light patterns. So that one is not as impressive, but if you look at that, that does look like a solid object. Kind of hard to know for sure. And then this one we looked at, and let me see if there was another one. I think this one might be a little better. Let me get to the thing where the actual videos are. I think this might be the same video. Interesting that they had the FLIR there. I don't know if that's common practice for them to always have the night vision camera at the ready out there. And then here's the one taken from the F-18. And you can see it kind of looks like a balloon, but they say they're sure it's not a balloon. And there was 3 different ones. Kind of weird looking things. That straight up looks like a jellyfish to me. That looks like a balloon. But the government is releasing these and saying that these are genuine, unidentified flying object incidents. So that pretty much sums that up. This is another in this series of releases and leaks that they've been doing over the last, I don't know, what has it been, 2 or 3 years? Where they'll parade these videos out on television. Ian Adams says that's the ISS. No, I don't think so. And talk about it publicly, which is a huge change from how they used to treat these kind of subjects. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Sold any interest for you guys?
No, it's all right.
Yeah. Why do you think they're doing this?
Like releasing the information?
Yeah. Why are they releasing the information? Why are they coming out publicly and saying we're capturing all these crafts on video and we don't know what they are?
I guess information travels faster now. Whistleblowers.
Just like Ancient Aliens, they're trying to keep their story going of an infinite space, and they're like, oh, aliens from outer space, you know?
Could be.
Nobody said aliens.
Oh, I thought you guys were talking about UFOs.
No, they don't.
Yeah, that means they're unidentified.
Nobody did say.
Nobody says aliens.
Nobody did say.
Everyone
aliens,
thinks aliens.
but they.
Yeah,
But they
the
haven't
only
said
dumb
it's
one.
not aliens. They have not said we think this is another country. They just flat out say we don't know.
Yeah, so
I'm
we
not
don't
saying
know.
it's
That
aliens,
means if you're
but it's
saying
aliens.
it's aliens, it's not unidentified anymore. It's identified as alien craft and not unidentified.
Yeah.
But
Ed,
it's
you're the only dumb
UFO,
one saying aliens.
meaning they don't know.
They don't know. Yep, that's it. They don't know. And they're not aware of anybody having the weapons capability, at least, unclassified, I guess.
Which weapons?
That last point, Brandon, would be, for me, the reason they ask it, so that people do exactly that. Oh, do they mean aliens? Do they not mean aliens? It doesn't really matter which side of the fence you sit on that, because you've accepted space in the paradigm that they present it. So,
Are they saying those things are from space?
No, none of
now
them.
I'm saying, if you engage in an argument where the two sides are, could it be aliens or could it be the Russians, you're kind of accepting the heliocentric paradigm of other worlds based on those lights in the sky, as opposed to other realms even.
Yeah.
Right, but nobody says
you're
it's
engaging in that debate, and by doing so, you're automatically accepting the possibility of that, and actually you're accepting the heliocentric paradigm.
Well, aliens to us could mean people from another, realm just outside of ours, like another pond or beyond our known limits.
Most people, though, will take this, to mean, it could be aliens.
Yeah.
And when most people think aliens, they think other planets, not like us. Like, I still believe there could be aliens, but not from other planets, from other places on Earth past where we live. But that's beside the point. Most people are going to think, this could be aliens.
Yeah. That's kind of why I prefix it with I prefix it with that or other realms, because as a flat earther you think like that. But I think the reality for the mainstream is that's not the debate. And that would be my point, that it's a reaffirming that space is real, because you get engaged in a debate issued by the military as to what are these pictures? Are they the Russians or some dodgy secret thing, or is it aliens from another world? That's the debate in the mainstream that goes off. So it just affirms the possibility of alien life, but in doing so, it confirms the heliocentric model.
Yeah, good point. I think that's a fair point. Could just be propaganda.
Posit a different position, Brandon. I would posit that if they are trying to unite the world under a single world government, then I think George Bush and Ronald Reagan both have said nothing would unite the world like a threat from, another planet or another race or whatever. So if their agenda, there's some pretty weird stuff going on politically and financially and whatever in the world at the moment, biologically. So if this is part of some bigger picture, slow burn to drive the cattle into a particular direction, then releasing alien footage, to ultimately become a worldwide belief that there's aliens out there, and then suddenly they're perhaps coming our way, then that's one mechanism they could use to unite us into needing a single world leader or government system or whatever. That's another idea.
That's huge too. The Reagan, with all these right-wing governments, were huge on talking about threats, fear. They basically deal in fear porn, where they want you to be afraid of some other threat that will come from someplace else, and spend money on defense.
We all need to get together. Just have one government ruling us all, so we're all of single mind and single purpose to defend our wonderful planet. Just look to Hollywood; they'll tell you in advance what's going on a lot of the time.
Yeah, it could be that they're planting the seeds for some bigger agenda. If they're putting it out into the mass media, I instantly think that there's probably an ulterior agenda at play.
Their ultimate goal is to get control. Just like we want to control everything in your house or your apartment, they look at this as their house, and they want to control everything in it to the utmost.
Exactly, Jeremy. Exactly.
It's just another fear tool.
Yeah, it could be.
Ed, you're bought that stuff
so much of this footage, I don't know if you noticed, it's never clear. Like, it's always a bit grainy and off in the distance, and in
the Earth is very flat.
Whatever. Where's the 4K high definition shot of these things. It always seems to be. Do you know what I mean? Has anyone seen anything that's just crystal clear and wow, look at that, that's an alien spacecraft, or is it always a fuzzy blur way off
It's
in the distance?
always questionable footage, isn't it, Effie?
We always, we've been getting that a
Exactly.
lot lately, like 360p, 480p footage from, remember the Indian satellite deployment video where they dropped them into the clouds?
Yeah.
380p. You come across a lot of this footage and you go, why the hell are they putting out such shit footage?
If it was in 4K, it probably, this might just me personally, but like the higher quality when I watch, have you ever watched a TV show in 4K on a 4K TV? Like a regular TV show, like I don't know, Law and Order or something, or just a movie. Like when it's in 4K, there's something not right about it. I don't like it. It like looks fake to me. I'm not saying that it is fake, but it doesn't look right. Is it just me, or I don't like watching stuff in 4K?
Yeah, if
What do you guys
you're
think?
not used to it, it's like, oh wow, you can kind of get that sense that it's a set. Is that what you mean? Like you can tell it just doesn't look real. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like extra clear. It's higher quality. It's supposed to be better, right? But at the same time, it's like vivid, like yeah, like you're seeing things way too good. It's like almost
Well,
like
if you're
hallucinating.
Yeah, it's
like
because
if
the
you're in the
frame
middle
rate
of
is really
faking
high most of the time.
if you're in the middle of faking space, you're not going to use the best cameras you can get because that's going to make it easier for people to spot the mistakes and the bullshit.
Isn't that how you know it's real? Because it looks so fake.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, that's a powerful quote right there. All the duality in the heliocentric model. You can tell it's not. You can tell it's curved by how flat it is. You can tell it's moving by how stationary it is. You can tell it's real by how fake it looks.
Yeah,
That is funny.
exactly.
Yeah.
Reality is a deception.
Yeah, but isn't it weird though? Like the better quality is, the more fake it looks. Like the Elon Musk quote. Like there's actually, by what I just said, some truth to that. Like it looks so real. It's so high quality that it doesn't look real.
What would have
I don't
possessed
know.
him to say that? I don't understand.
Yeah,
Drugs.
that is weird.
Lots of drugs.
Possibly.
He's going to end up in rehab. I mean, that's his story.
Elon
I don't even
Musk?
think Elon would have to be in on it. He might not even know.
I
Why
think
would
that's
you
just.
speak about drugs?
I think that quote is.
Oh,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I think that quote is like a one-line soundbite to anybody who says blah 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 whatever looks fake. That's like one line it's like a one-line sentence soundbite to hand wave anybody who says, "Oh, that looks fake." That's how you know it's real. It looks fake.
The drug
So-
piece is real important because he was ripping, basically on nationally syndicated radio, these late night tweets that caused him to lose, lots of money on the stock market, right? Like his April Fool's jokes and stuff, and he talks about being addicted to Ambien, all the time. Male depression, like he's self-medicating. If you just look at this guy's Twitter feed, it's not someone who's healthy.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it. I've never looked into it. I'm not saying that he's on drugs or he's not. I have no idea. But a lot of these famous people turn out to be on drugs, especially the erratic acting ones. It wouldn't surprise me. I don't wish it on the guy.
He's made himself a wealthy man.
He has done that, although I think he's had quite a bit of help along the way. I don't necessarily think it's all Elon.
Defense contractor is a very lucrative business.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, because wasn't he not even making any profit on the Tesla cars? Like if he hadn't got the government contract and that funding, and he was just a normal business guy and that was his business, he would be operating in the negative and not even making a profit, right?
I do remember
wouldn't be
something
as-
like that, but I'm not. Yeah, I think I heard him say that saved his ass.
The subsidies from the government, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
if I
at the
remember
time,
correctly, it was
he might be-
specifically the SpaceX contract winning that that saved his ass because he was he was in big trouble if he didn't get it.
Like right now, he might be making a profit on the Tesla cars and stuff, but there was a time where he would have gone under if he didn't have some other things going on and got the funding.
How does a guy? He's not very old, you know, in the scheme of the age of people, become one of the richest men in the world just selling a few electric cars? I could never figure that out. You know, I mean, GM and Ford and Chrysler, they've been building cars for a long time.
Well, he had PayPal for years.
Yeah, he made his initial money on PayPal. That he created PayPal, and I believe he sold it. But that's how he made his startup money, if you will.
Okay,
Supposedly.
all right. That's where he got rich.
Well, he's just one guy up for PayPal. He's not the only dude. He's not the single dude.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They've been grooming this
That's
guy
where
for
he got
quite
his
some
start.
time. Yeah, they've been grooming him for a while.
Oh, wait, what?
Explain what you mean by that, Crit. Grooming him.
Oh, the grooming thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, like this basically like a celebrity goofball, you know, like inventor and everything. You know, like kind of like the man of the ages.
He's playing a role in the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I tend to think that too, and I don't know
One
if
of
that's
Chris
the
Delusions.
media portraying that the way that they're framing him, or if that's on purpose.
Or both, right? He's
Yeah.
a willing participant.
Could be. Who knows? I do know. I don't know if any of you guys own a Tesla or know anybody that does, but I've heard that they're really shitty quality. You guys heard that?
No.
Like
There's a
Nope.
oh, yeah.
I've seen a Tesla dealership. You walk in and there's no car at all. They've got like some sort of model of it that's not the real thing on the showroom floor. But there's no cars in the parking lot. It's just basically like a 2-story office building with just a bunch of people like acting like they're in a college dorm.
Huh. Anyway, so yeah, this is just another one of those little trickle out that they do. I mean, it could be our own weapon system. It could be nothing. Who knows?
Well, just go ask the Globers and Gems, because there's a lot of those dudes that know everything that happened in every building throughout the course of history. So maybe just check with them real quick.
Another
Maybe.
Albert Einstein, right? That's what they're doing for ages.
I was going to put some money on it, Brandon. I'd go for those pesky Antarctic Nazis.
The lizard people.
I kind of want that story to be true. It'd be fun.
Maybe Elon or Elon or Elion is an alien.
Elon isn't
Like
Elon his birthright. I think it's Werner von Braun wrote a fictional novel about how humanity would go to Mars, and the title, I think, of the governor or prime minister king of Mars as the human colony is the Elon.
Just one of those weird coincidences, right?
Yeah.
That's what people say. Yeah.
El in Hebrew means God.
I don't know, guys. But yeah, that's
whether he sees that as his fate, Brandon, I don't know, or whether it is part of the, as people say, he's a man of his times. He was, you know what I mean? Even maybe even born into this role. It was decided that he would be given a bit like Facebook. You know, there you go. You're the inventor of this. Here's the why you're now in this role. Hence the attraction of Mars now with him.
It's hard to say if it was like he was groomed and it was part of a plan from a long time ago, or it happened naturally and they just use him. No one can say whether he's in on it or not. Like if it was planned for a long time, he might be in on it. If he's just a useful pawn, then maybe not.
Yeah, all that Elon is just an interesting coincidence, isn't it?
Yeah, hey guys, Ed, your bot failed again. That's 10 minutes before it failed the last time. So you lose.
Anyway, so yeah.
Brandon, bring that thing up.
What thing?
Bring that thing up. I DM'd you a minute ago. Let me know when it's up.
Okay.
There we go. This is the globe model, right? See how it's curving? All the verticals aren't plumb or parallel. Now, there you can make a horizontal line off one of those points, or you can make a not horizontal line off one of those points and connect the water levels. So all those points, that's all an interconnected water level right there. In the globe model, I don't believe any of this, but there's a drop away from, if you made a horizontal off any one of those plumb line, off any one of those water levels, there's drop from everywhere. However, if you make a straight line from one water level to another, you get a hump. See the hump from 2 to 6? Does everyone see the hump?
You're talking about this area right here, from the middle out. The gray line creates a hump in the middle. That's
From
the
2 to,
green
if you
line.
draw a line from point 2 to point 6, there'd be a hump there. The sagitta, the bulge, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Right. So this all happens on their model simultaneously. It's not two different models. It's just one model. There's not like a different version of it or anything. The Globers are terrible at explaining things and conveying information to other people. Some of them, not all of them. Some of them don't do such a good job. So there's just some confusion about if there's one model, two model with the hump, model with the drop. So it all happens in the same model. That's all. Just so everyone's clear. Because I mean, if you don't understand their model at this point, what are we even doing here?
Yeah, I get you. This is what they think will happen with the water level.
Because I mean, SE came in, and God bless his heart. I fuck with SE. SE's dope. But he came in claiming this was some kind of paradox about a hump or a drop. It's not a paradox. It's all happening in their nutcase model. Just one model. I was going to show this yesterday, but it was very busy yesterday. I didn't get a chance.
I think everybody understands that they think this. Does anybody not understand that this is what the Globers think? This is what we're trying to falsify. This is what White's word is trying to falsify. This is what any of the experiments are
I'd
trying
take
to
issue with the
falsify.
water level, Brandon.
Yeah? Well, what's that?
So I'd agree totally that the ballers are trying to represent that at points 1 to 7, that their water level, if it's at the top of the blue line, equates to the green line. I'd agree that they say that, but I don't think at any point they could claim horizontal between what we got there. Pillar
2 and
4
6.
Yeah, the issue really is the water level between pillars 2 and 6. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
2
the
and
water
6.
level.
2 and 6 isn't a horizontal line. Yeah, it's not horizontal. It's a straight line. It's just not horizontal. So please continue, though, Adam. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's a horizontal line between points 2 and 6, but that would be a downward angle from the point perspective of 6 and the point perspective 2. So it'd be a strange line to draw. I mean, in reality, that is the line they're drawing. I don't say it, but I don't think the line from 2 to 6 could be described as water level on their model. You'd have to go with the green bulge above it, the Sagitta, not the Sagitta line, but the bulge that causes that.
No, the line from 2 to 6 is not horizontal. The other line off the top of one of the water levels is horizontal. That's where you get the drop. You get drop from every point off a horizontal. But if you don't make a horizontal, what's up?
Yeah. That was my only point, was really the water level to 2 to 6. And I'm only defending the ballers here. If I was a baller, I'd be claiming it's still that green line all the way from 2 to 6, not the supposed how you draw that line by using water. It would be 2 to 6.
Yeah, 2 to 6 is just a straight line. They might call it a chord on their model, or just a straight line or something, but it's not. They wouldn't describe that 2 to 6 line as horizontal.
The issue with all these water levels is, as I alluded to there, is you kind of have to use a water level to prove the water level. In that, the issue, as brilliant as this kind of demonstration is, it requires you need to be able to validate 0.3 from 0.4. If you see what I mean, you can't validate 0.4 at 0.4. Otherwise, there's no validity to the demonstration. It could just as easily be on the ball if you validate 0.4 at 0.4.
Oh, that whole diagram's farcical and ridiculous at best, absolutely. But I'm just saying that's their model. You know, that's what they believe the water is doing off the horizontal, and the water is doing from point to point on the water levels. You know, that's all I was trying to show.
But Adam, I think what you're saying is you can't have some self-referential test using water levels without having some baseline to compare it against.
Yeah, fundamentally, you can't use a water level to show that water's flat.
Right.
Water's
Absolutely.
level. Yeah. So, like I say, with respect to being a baller, and I could just say that the water level is on the green line, as opposed to it actually being flat with respect to any of those points. So, like I say, the issue is to be able to validate the level of 4, but not from 4, because if you do it from 4, a ball and a flat plane is just as valid. To try and pretend that it's going to be hit at 5 or raised at 5, you only go to 5 to measure it, it doesn't validate any measurement, does it? You've got to take measurement of 5 from 4 or 6. And that's the issue. And the real issue is that that's lovely on that diagram. But actually, if we were to just take, I don't know, a 1 mile distance between each of those, we're only dealing with, I think, 0.014 of a degree difference off plumb. So that's very hard to validate that angular difference off plumb from a mile away.
Yeah, it's always under, you know, it's within the margin of error. So it's not like you could just go out there and figure it out. We can't think of a method that's practical that will give us an answer that's within the margin of error of whatever method we're using. You have to go so far in order to get outside that margin of error or inside that margin of error, or the precision that is just unrealistic.
Adam, did you hear us talking about those circles the sun's making over us earlier? Were you listening?
Yeah, I thought you were someone. You were being attacked like you were being a ball. I understand the concept, I think, and whilst it wouldn't necessarily prove flat, I think if you could demonstrate that, yes, in the southern orbit, tropical orbit, you've got a faster ground speed, then that would say, it wouldn't demonstrate that it's flat, but what it would demonstrate is that it doesn't fit within the heliocentric model, because you would have to have, and I think even at time and date, you don't have matching latitudinal similarities in terms of ground speed, because ground speed was fine. You would expect different ground speed even on a ball, wouldn't you? But it's that differential between, in their vernacular, north and southern hemispheres. They would expect it to be the same. For us, south of the equator, you would expect to have to see a larger ground speed, but it's just a lot of water there, so it's hard to verify, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could check the speed over land, but, you know, I've heard some flat earthers say maybe the sun's moving faster over the water, or, you know, stuff like that. I mean, the Pac-Man map was some things I got, but I mean,
it destroys the ball. If you demonstrate that, it does. It's a very good ball destroyer. But in terms of us, you have to be very careful at trying to reify that result of an apparent position and an apparent place, and what that could actually mean to the nature of what you're standing on. I don't think I'd use it to mean anything. Yeah.
So you're saying that it would be a definitive observation in destroying the ball, but it wouldn't have any implication to flat Earth.
I didn't say any implication. I said I don't think I'd use it for my reality. I don't know how I would use it, because other than it confirming that we're not on a ball, because the ball is making such a firm claim. If the observations clearly mismatch that, you can exclude that, can't you? I'm happy with that. But to then put it into another paradigm based on just that observation is dangerous. Does it be confidence? Yeah, but I don't know how I'd use that, because my only criticism of it is that you're saying this and you're using this point. To quote Orwin, there's still a kind of physicality assumption bias, even within.
Orwin doesn't even think the sun is real at all. He thinks it's light manifest.
It might not be real, and for this for this measurement, it doesn't really matter what the sun is or, what it's doing really, because those circles would have to get faster. I feel like on a flat plane, if it's circling above us, that subsolar point, it's an actual point, and it's always moving along the ground on Earth.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy, have you gotten anybody else that's in the tropics other than?
I got 5 people now.
And basically, all we're doing is as soon as the sun is at our solar noon, we're stopwatch, right? And this person gets a solar noon. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, if I can match 2 people up or something, yeah.
I just wanted to clarify.
You need to be able to validate you're at the subsolar point, on Discord on your cam or something, and then we'll hit the stopwatches and wait till it gets to the next person's subsolar point and do the distance over time thing, and we'll see the ground speed of it. At least over that area.
Here. But somebody raised the point earlier, and I think if you're going to do this, it was a really good point to raise, is how long does the shadowless period last for at any one time? Right?
Depending on what you do, I think it's a couple minutes tops. So, yeah, you're not going to have an exact, precise measurement, but you'll get it relatively close, and you'll have the same errors with any point you try to do. So,
I think that would also be an interesting piece of data to look at with regards to how long the shadow doesn't last for at both the equator and the tropic as well. It might be worth.
Yeah, I'd love to have a person right now under the subsolar point and have them see this for me. Definitely.
Yeah, that was me who was saying that.
We haven't gotten any flat earthers that are within that region who have volunteered to do it, have we?
Not yet. No, I got 5 ballers on the list right now.
So what latitudes are you
looking
to be for? Fair, anywhere between the tropics, right? You're looking for people?
Anyone in between the tropics that can participate. Yeah, to be fair, there's not a lot of land in the tropics, so to speak. It is a lot of water, and a lot of the countries, I've never even seen people in here from Indonesia, or there's a lot of those countries we don't even see people from. Flatzoid's the one person in Africa. Do we have any other people from Africa in this arena?
Hey, I wonder if Crow XE's still around. He's in Africa.
Yeah, I haven't heard from Crow XE in a long time. I don't know.
Figure out where the point is right now. Like hand jam out the map. Figure out where your solar point is today. Do it.
We gotta have.
We need somebody down there to validate it. If we go off date and time, our people aren't accepting it.
Don't go off the model itself and then be like, "Hey, here's the model." Just figure out the data you got, whatever data you use to collect to calculate a subsolar point, or if it's an observation, you're just saying, "Hey, this observation matches here, here, and here."
Yeah, that's what
It's kind of like what
Yeah,
I
we don't
fear.
have the data yet.
that's what he's trying to do,
Yeah, we're not-
Kurt,
We don't-
is to get the data. We don't have the
Yeah.
data.
Yeah, well, if you're going to use timeanddate.com, they have the data
No,
already.
fuck that, man. That's based on the model. It'd be like using the
Well-
model to support the model.
Exactly, right? So if you're going to go with a subsolar point presented by timeanddate.com and use these maps presented by the globe model, just say it's a globe. Just save yourself a headache.
Kurt, I don't know why you're
Why?
jumping to this conclusion. We're not doing any of that.
I'm not saying you are. I'm saying for me, if I were to do this, it would be much more robust and mathematical,
Well-
and it'd have a process to it.
Well, tell us how
would
we
you-
should do it. Totally open to suggestions, I'm sure, aren't you, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Adam.
I did have a question with regards to that, and that's in terms of your sampling data. So, if we were to imagine the transit of the sun, let's just take the equator as 24,000, take the ball, and we're going to go further, and whatever that implication is, how are you going to validate the path and the distance, and what is the frequency of testing to kind of give some inference to it? It seems a very grand project to me, which is kind of requires you to path. If you take just an hour, then what's that? 24,000 miles. That's
Yeah, I'd like to get as
1,000
many
miles,
data
yeah.
points. I'd like to
So-
get as many data points as possible with as many people along the same line of longitude every 50, 100 miles or so.
No, I think we
You
need
know, yeah.
hundreds of miles apart.
Yeah, I mean, but to have a person every 50 or 100 miles along that path would be nice.
Yeah, I get you.
If you've not got, well, at least two over 1,000, you're struggling to get any real data
The
other than
thing
maybe
is-
disproving time and date.
Right.
And you've got to be
Adam,
very
the thing
specific.
is, the thing is, our peoples will just say, how can you validate that distance? That's why we're trying to keep it over like a known distance that we can validate, like an odometer on a car or something. Because then you're into quibbling over air speeds and water currents and shit like that afterwards.
I'll tell you what I did think was the genius point is the point you're tracking. Because if you look at Dr. Zach's stuff and something we can't even triangulate the sun. So to try and a bit like when back in the day with the sun tracking stuff, it was just none of it made sense. The data was just blurb because it won't triangulate from 3 points.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that, and that is one of the reasons why I can. Oh my bad. That is one of the reasons why I can defeat.
That's why you. That's why you can't.
Hold on, that's one of the
triangulate
reasons.
far away.
That's one of the reasons why I can defeat any argument that has anything to do with space. However, this argument, there's only one subsolar point. So it's not like anything crazy and it's always moving. So it doesn't have anything to do with being able to triangulate the sun or what the sun's doing or the distance of the sun to Earth. Like none of that matters for this, really. It's all about that one point and the speed that it's moving across the land. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I would say if I were to
what
do
I
it.
would do if I was.
Oh, go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
No, of course. God, I've talked enough.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. For you, that's good. For me, every one of those data points would be verified and checked. Anything invoked would be perfect down to the last detail.
Well, I mean, that's the goal, yeah.
Yeah, so when I said when the left lane tried to explain it before on the pre-show, he had multiple layers of inception. He had invoked a globe model four times.
Remember when I said the Globers were terrible at explaining things and conveying information?
Yeah, so he had invoked the globe model a solid 3 or 4 times before he even got to what he was going to start explaining.
I know. I'm in the midst of working out this thing. Kosho's trying to put a video together. And I've already had to make him redo it at least once or twice, I think, because...
Well, the
at
reason
first
it took me so long to explain it is I'd get halfway through it and you'd stop me. And I'd have to go in.
Okay, Leslie.
I didn't want you to
okay,
waste time. Like if you're already invoking a globe from the beginning.
I didn't
Okay.
invoke a globe. I was invoking the equator, but we had to turn that into the middle. But it's the same spot. We both know what we're talking about. You know, I don't know.
No, we don't. I'd object to that. We don't know it's the middle. What we do know is it appears to be the middle point of the extremities of the paths of the sun throughout the year. Whether that's the middle of the plane, whether that sits exactly as a circle or an ellipse over the point where we assume Polaris is, I think there's a lot of a supposition there as well, that if you look at old maps, it's not circular. The equator is it's elliptical. So old flat maps. So that would be my other point with regards. You kind of, when you're tracking this path, you're going to measure from point A to B, which is a straight line. You're then going to apply an arc between those points, an applied arc, and there's a huge margin of error, and where they'll hide the ball.
That margin's not. That's why I want multiple people in the middle so we can track the, distance to distance. And if you're doing that on all the lines, I don't think there'd be that big of an error from the straight line to the curved path. Maybe there could be.
As long as you track it based on the path of the sun, then that's fine. But you've got to track it first, map it all out, then measure it, then do the thing. Because if you take their measurements, it's all based on a ball.
I know. That's why I was trying to use distances we can validate.
The other thing I was going to say that's fundamentally is to actually take that data at the equator as well. I think that would be a great starting point. You've got a lot more land, a lot more chance of getting people. Get it, demonstrate it, and then that's the point you've got to show variance against anyway. You just take that first data, you're only comparing it against Bally data. But if you've got two real points where the sun is at variance, and then you demonstrate different ground speed, I think you've got you then need the third to disprove the ball. Actually, no, you don't, do you? A greater ground speed south of the equator measurements is sufficient to disprove a ball, isn't it? So you don't even need the northern tropic.
Adam, did you say you were part of that whole sun tracking project back in the day?
I put my nail in the ground and watched. I wasn't a big verbal exponent, but yeah, I was there.
Because we were looking at that the other day, and I haven't watched the old videos, but were there any conclusions drawn from that at all, or did it lead to falsification or validation of anything?
It showed that nothing matched up exactly. When you time and date is very good for an individual, but if you then try to, I think, patch everything together to say, for some reason it doesn't work, either a ball or flat, and that was the point. And certainly there were the main point I kind of remember really were the visible points of the luminaries. They were just not possible. So you had sunrise and sunset in places that just didn't make sense because it was more than half
that
clear.
For the thing you guys did, it sounds like how the sky works matters. For the thing I'm trying to do, how the sky works, it doesn't matter for this. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot more. What's up?
That's what I say. It's quite clever because it's actually using ground position. I mean, my only criticism again is the presumption that it's the physical speed of a luminary that you're measuring. It doesn't. It could just be the rotation of a light through a lens at different speeds, and you're spinning it. If you think of it, God doing it with his hand, go a little bit slower up here and moving out through the lens. Do you know what I mean? And you could. It doesn't require. Again, I'll go back to ours. It doesn't mean that this then matches up to the physical motion of the luminary. It's a physical assumption bias that you can't draw that assumption to. But I think you're very clever in the way you've just taken it to that zero shadow point, because that has a significance. Exactly what? But you're not tracking something in the sky. You are tracking something on the ground. So you are at least tracking the lack of shadow across the ground and measuring that, as opposed to measuring anything in the sky, which is only angular. You are.
Like for your thing, it mattered if the sun was a reflection off of a mirrored dome or something, like, then you're not going to be able to triangulate it, because you can't triangulate a reflection like that. But for this thing, I mean, there's only one subsolar point. It's not like you can get two subsolar points at once. So, and it does have a speed on the ground. We're not trying to figure out the actual speed of the thing, but just the speed that it covers over the land. Like, no matter what's making the mechanism of how that happens is irrelevant to this. You know what I mean?
Totally agree. Yeah, that's why I said that's really quite clever, because you are you place, instead of your measurement being in the sky, it is on the ground per se. So that's the clever thing.
Yeah, this was a Glober. I mean, I don't want to take the credit for it. This is a Glober argument right here. This is the Globers came up with this. One Glober in particular, I think, Curved might have came up with this about 3 years ago.
If you give me a few minutes, I'll try and dig the map out. But this is how the old equator was plotted, from what I know from it's kind of early empire days, so like 1800s. It's at the point of Crimea and stuff. It's an old map, and it's a bit rubbish, but I'll find it, and give me a minute. I'll find it. It shows an elliptical, but this will be taken from that sort of data. It's plotting the path of the lack of shadow, I suppose, across the
Adam,
land.
what's your YouTube channel? Iron Realm Media?
No, I got kicked out of there, mate.
Oh, did you have a YouTube channel or anything?
Well, yeah, it used to be Iron Realm Media. So if you want to see my stuff, go to Iron Realm Media over the past 5 years. But I'm in the beginnings of trying to put all my collate all my epiphanies together, if you know what I mean. But it's on the Adam Meakin. What's there, but most of it's like intros to the shows I've done, and like Nathan's and Chocolate's music videos. Shout out Chocolate saying wicked flat earth rapping.
Yeah, Chocolate's good. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be cool to look at that map. I wanted to ask a question about this, what's on screen too, before we get too far away of it. So this gray line that intersects pillar 2, kind of
2 to 6.
Yeah, 2 to 6. Yeah, sorry, 2 to 6. It intersects 4, right? That's where it's comes off on in both directions. I guess that'd be the tangent point. If you were standing here at 2 and looked down at this thing, what the hell would that look like? I'm just wondering. It'd be a straight line.
Yeah, well, I mean, we don't.
It would go down towards the Earth, but then up away from the Earth. I'm just trying to imagine what that would be like. That'd be so strange.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, like I said. But this is their nutcase model. It's all happening in one model, one single model. There's not like two different models, one with a hump, one with a drop. Like it's all about how you draw that line. If you make a horizontal line on the globe in their model, then you'll get dropped from everywhere. If you don't make a horizontal line and you connect 2 of the water levels, that's not a horizontal line, and that's where you get a hump from. The Globers, everyone would be clear on this if the Globers weren't terrible at relaying information. So.
Well, that goes back to
facts, Jeremy. Facts.
There's that Sabine Halsfeld, whatever. She's a science communicator, physicist, actress, singer, songwriter. Huge YouTube channel. She did a video saying that the globalists need to get out of the way. They're damaging science because they don't know the model well enough to even explain it. So you get a bunch of.
I had a guy in Jose's about 20 minutes ago tell me the Sagitt and the drop left lane heard it. He said the Sagitt and the drop over a mile is the same.
Yeah, they're crazy, man. They think they know it, and they don't even know anything about the model at all.
So what's your problem with the model?
Oh God, where do we start, George?
Well,
I
how about
mean,
curve?
Where
You
do you
guys
want to
seem to
start?
be confused on the idea of the hump or the sagitta and the drop. Is you're measuring it two different ways. When you're
Yeah.
measuring drop,
I
you're
know, I just
measuring drop
explained it.
from a tangent.
No, you're measuring drop from a horizontal. Jesus.
Oh, you're
This is
measuring
why you guys suck.
tangent.
This is
Jesus.
why you guys suck, George.
You're measuring it from a tangent.
Holy shit.
If you want to call it horizontal, fine. But that horizontal is a tangent that extends out into space.
Does the horizontal ever, if you make a horizontal line over water, does it ever touch the surface of your sphere model?
If you draw what?
Never mind. Call it whatever you want. Just, you guys make shit more complicated.
A tangent only touches a sphere or a circle at one point.
All right.
Yeah,
All right, fine.
yeah, your cord that falls beneath the surface of the sphere, I wouldn't call that line horizontal.
No, that's not horizontal at all.
Yeah.
It's a chord. There's a difference between chord and tangent. A tangent touches a sphere or a circle at one point. A chord intersects at 2 points. I mean, this is all just basic, simple geometry. This is first introduction to geometry, definition of chords and tangents.
The Globers have some major problems with basic geometry, George, let's face it.
No, they don't. It's you guys that have major
Yeah,
problems.
I know.
Bev has confused everything. Bev has
Listen.
skewed and added so much bullshit into the discussion. You're all confused.
I just killed almost every Glober at Gems yesterday because they thought you could have a perpendicular from a line to a point. They also thought you could have perpendicular from a straight line to a curved line.
Wait. Back up. A perpendicular from a line to a point? Yes.
Yeah.
You can.
No, you can't.
Sure you can.
No, you fucking can't. I asked a math teacher yesterday, and
No,
they
you
agreed
draw
with me
a line.
live in Gems. Live in Gems.
Jeremy,
You can't have a
back
tangent.
up.
In order for something to be
back up a second. If you draw a line and pick a point, any point in the plane, off that point, you can draw a perpendicular to that line.
Here, I'll draw the line. Here's the line. All right. You see it on the screen? Here's the line.
Just a minute. I gotta get your stream up.
Okay.
Okay, draw a line. All right,
there's
you got
the
a
line.
vertical
Now
line.
I put the point on there. Where's the perpendicular?
No, not on the line. You pick a point anywhere off the line, I said.
So you need more than a point. All right. The Globers were confused on that.
Hey, no, shut up a minute. Brandon, pick a point off the line. Go off to the right of the line or left of the line.
We'll pretend this is a point.
You can drop
Here's a point.
perpendicular now to that line. Drop a perpendicular to it.
Yeah, 2 lines you need. No shit, George.
Yeah.
That was the whole argument. You also
you just told me that you cannot have a perpendicular to a line from a point, and I'm showing you that you can.
You can't have a point and a line and have perpendicularity. You need 2 lines, right?
No, you drop. Oh my God.
You don't need 2 lines to have something be perpendicular? 2 straight lines?
I said you can draw a perpendicular from a point to a line.
Yeah, you can draw another line that's perpendicular from the point to the line. That's a line now you're talking about.
Yeah,
this is the guy who just told us we didn't understand basic geometry, people.
That's what you do. You can drop a perpendicular from any point to another line.
This is embarrassing. I feel embarrassed.
So meaningless. It's the most meaningless.
I'm embarrassed by you.
I mean, what's the problem here? What's your problem?
The problem is you need 2 straight lines to have perpendicularity, if that's a word.
Yeah, you draw a perpendicular line from a point to another line.
So you need 2 lines, 2 straight lines. I know shit, George. You can't just have a point and say,
Jeremy,
I got a...
No, by definition, we can draw a perpendicular from a point to a line. Draw a perpendicular. Draw a perpendicular implies you're drawing a line from the point to intersect the line to give you
Two
a
lines, two
perpendicular.
straight lines. We know. Two straight lines. We know, George. They
So
also
what's the
got.
problem? I
They
don't
were
get
thinking
it.
you
What's
just
the
needed a
problem?
point. Well, the
Yeah, I got-
Glovers and Gems are confused, George. Maybe you should go set them straight. Even
No,
though I
I'm
already
not
did
going over
yesterday,
there.
so you're a little late. But
Here, I
they
got
were
something.
also under the misconception that you could have
No,
a
this
curved line
Jeremy,
and a
this
straight
is all
line.
semantics. You guys get all your
It's basic
underwear
geometry,
in a
George. Remember
bunch
5 minutes
because
ago
of
you told us we didn't
semantics.
understand basic geometry?
No, I don't think you understand basic geometry. When we say you can draw a perpendicular from a point to a line, you're implying you're taking that point, and that's the origin of a new line that you're drawing to the other line to intersect it in a perpendicular. That's the vernacular in geometry. What's wrong
All right,
with
let me ask you another one. Can a line, a straight line and a curved line be perpendicular to each other?
Yes.
That's wrong.
Okay, I got
No,
something for
man.
that. I got the heads up.
Dude, George, you just got done telling us we don't understand basic geometry, and here you are not understanding basic
Well, you
geometry.
don't. I mean, no, a curved line.
Holy
If
shit.
you have a curved line, shut up. Just a minute. If you have a curved line intersecting another line, you look at the point of intersection, you draw a tangent to the curve at the point of intersection, and if that tangent is perpendicular to the line, we say that the curve and the line intersect perpendicularly. There you go.
No, you need two straight
That
lines,
curve,
bro.
the edge of
You
that
need two
curve,
straight
the
lines.
outline,
That's
the perimeter
embarrassing.
of
I feel
that
bad
curve
for you,
is
George.
now intersecting that line perpendicularly.
Hey,
I feel bad.
What does any of this matter? I
Embarrassing.
don't understand what impact any of this has.
I don't know. I brought it up just because George got done telling us we didn't understand basic geometry. That's all.
Well, you don't.
This is
Well, here, I got
part
something.
about
This is a concept from analytic geometry. You can
Yeah.
have a curve and a line intersect perpendicularly if at
No,
the
you
point of
can't.
intersection, the tangent to the curve at that point of intersection is perpendicular to the line. We call that perpendicular intersection.
Hey, Brandon, look at that image I sent you, DM wise. It's got the circle, the black circle with the four lines on it.
Hey, Brandon,
Yeah.
How about George? What is that angle for that red line there?
the angle to the red line.
Yeah, see
What do
that
you mean?
red
Define what angle? What
right there.
angle?
You got the red line in the circle, right?
Yeah.
What's the angle there?
Well, it all depends how you're defining it. If we talk about the angle that line makes with the circle at the point of intersection, you draw a tangent to the point of intersection, which is right at the red line. So the angle at that point would be 0 with the circle.
Okay, now if you move forward, what happens?
They draw an imaginary line to the center of their ball, and that's how they claim a perpendicular.
If you go to the orange line, if you go to the orange line and draw a tangent where the orange line intersects the circle, now you'll have an angle. It looks to me like it might be about 45 degrees.
So you need to make a flat surface, and then you can get an angle. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, or a tangent. Just draw a tangent. Look,
It's interesting.
where the orange line is intersect. Shut up a minute.
Okay,
Hey, go back to that.
I'm gonna put it on here.
Brandon.
I'm gonna put it on here so I can draw.
Brandon,
Yeah.
No,
I think
expand it again.
what
All right.
George is
Now
saying
draw-
is to
Now draw a
describe any of
tangent.
this,
Now where?
you have to
What?
draw another
Adam,
straight line.
shut up a minute. I'm speaking.
I've summarised for you, George.
Well,
When you're dealing with a circle,
no,
to
Brandon,
express any
that's
of this,
the
Yeah,
point.
you
when
have
you're
to,
dealing with the
when you've got
circle,
one straight
you
line,
need to draw
you
a
have to
straight
draw
line
another straight
in order
line,
to
George,
have
don't
a
you?
ever circle. To draw a straight
you
line.
have to pretend
Guys,
you're on
calm
a
down.
flat
Well-
surface in order to get the angle. I understand. Yeah.
Not a flat surface. You do it to a curved surface. You draw a tangent to the surface, to the curve, just like you did.
Yep.
And it looks like that orange line is now intersecting the circle at about a 45 degree
You draw a
angle.
flat surface, you pretend this is the surface you're on, and then you can get an angle.
No, it's no pretend. The definition of a line intersecting a circle or any curve is you draw a tangent to the curve at the point of where it intersects, and then you look at the angle that the tangent makes with the line that's intersecting the circle, and we call that the angle of intersection.
You draw the surface we actually live on as a tangent to the imaginary circle, and then you can get the angle that you're on.
Being dense. We're not talking about surfaces we live on or anything like that. We're just talking about geometric surfaces here, geometric figures. You have a circle.
You don't know shit about
you have a
geometry,
bunch of
George.
lines.
Okay. I just find it interesting that you
It
have to
has
add a
nothing
flat
to
surface.
do with the Earth. This has
Well,
nothing
That's
to
because you can't have anything be perpendicular to a curved surface.
Yes,
Because
you
in
can.
order-
The blue line is perpendicular to the curve.
It actually, by the way, this
black
works the same on
Jesus,
both models
Jeremy,
because
you're
on your
stupider
suggested
than-
flat Earth, in your suggested flat Earth either, there is no actual perfect straight lines in nature, so you would have to imagine a fake conception.
You should go hang out with
of-
Bev, Lori. You and Bev would get along fantastic.
Look at Brandon. This is very simple stuff. That curve or that circle that you have drawn there, the black circle, it's intersected perpendicularly or orthogonally by that deep blue line at the top, the leftmost line. That is intersecting the circle at a right angle, perpendicularly, orthogonally.
Right, and if I want to get the angle off of that, I mean, all I would do is just draw the surface we live on and have that intersect the line right there, and then I'll get the angle.
Surface crap we live on. This is geometry. This has nothing to do with the Earth.
See why this is so powerful? This is so powerful because this is supposedly what they say they figured out Polaris. This is how
See,
they
the
do
point
it.
is he can't have the perpendicularity without drawing that tangent line because
That's
George knows
right.
that you
The
George knows that
that's
you
how
need
we
two straight
determine
lines.
Angles, you
need
dumbass.
two straight lines.
You
You
have
need two straight lines in order for
to
some.
determine your angle, and at the point of intersection, that local region at the point of intersection is what determines the angle of intersection. All you do is you zoom in at the point of intersection.
How far?
You look at
How
what
many
the
X?
tangent does.
32x, 100x. How much zoom we putting on this?
How much ever you want.
I can only go 400. I can only go 400. Oh, 200?
No, just do 2x.
There we go.
2x. You got it? Now where's it at now, George?
Brad, this is a concept that we use for infinitesimals in calculus and analytic geometry. These are the definitions. You don't prove definitions. A definition just is.
Right.
Something George said just then was very telling. How many X should we put on it, George? George's answer: as many as you want. That's very telling, George. That's kind of how you and your mob roll with everything. You just fit in whatever suits what you're trying to show. Just put in however many you want.
Hold
That's how
on.
we work.
Hold on, that's not. If George says how much you want, that's not saying, oh, just as much as I need it, because you're saying George dictated the exact amount that he needs, but he gave you guys the free room to put whatever you want.
Yeah.
So he's giving you freedom, and you're somehow faulting him for that.
Thank you
What
for
the
our
hell?
freedom.
We zoomed in 2x.
Thanks for our
We zoomed in
freedom, George.
2x. Did that help, George?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Does
like
it help? I mean, a tangent, it doesn't matter how much you zoom in. A tangent only intersects a curve at one point.
I don't live on a tangent, George.
Who cares about what you live on? We're talking about geometry.
Yeah, here, hey George, drive this point.
Maybe you should go to a geometry
You
Discord.
guys are more obtuse than a piece of dog shit.
Okay, hey George, drive the point home
Mathematics
now.
Discord, geometry Discord, I don't know. Maybe you're in the wrong place. Did you walk into the wrong saloon, George? Perhaps you did.
I can't believe how dense
Well,
you get.
We're just fucking with you, George.
maybe we're in the moron discourse. At
George,
least
it's a light-hearted moment, George. Just go with it, buddy.
Yeah, and hey George, drive this point home. So now you've got one angle. would you be able to draw a triangle with this one angle?
Huh?
So you've got this one angle, like say the red line.
An angle by definition is made with two straight lines. You need three sides. You need three lines to define a triangle. So no.
Okay,
so you
so
can't
you've got,
have. Hold on, Chris.
Okay.
So you can't have a straight line and a curved line make an angle, right, George?
Wrong.
I didn't say that.
You just said the definition of an angle was two
You
straight lines
misunderstood.
intersecting.
You're
Yes,
misunderstanding.
the straight line on the curve is your tangent.
There's no straight line on a curve. Oh,
How
Yes,
far
there
out do I
is.
pull the base though?
Yeah.
How far out do I pull the base in order to get the angle? Where do I put
That's-
it on the circle?
You know, as far as you want.
Okay.
yeah, just make
Do
it up.
2x,
Put it over
Brandon.
here.
Do 4x.
See, this is the thing because they'll tell you they have an angle and a point, and they can draw a triangle with that to Polaris, and then tell you Polaris is 400 light years away,
Right.
and then tell you it's simple geometry. And if you don't get it, you're just dumb.
Here, give me like 30 seconds.
That's
So
correct.
here,
That's
let me
correct.
give me
That's
like
correct.
30 seconds. And
You are
I'll
dumb.
tell you what I think's going on here. Okay. This circle represents the relationship of perspective on a flat plane. You can visualize
No.
it as as
No,
a circle.
no.
All right. So you can use this circle to calculate the angles to objects you would get on a flat plane at different distances. And what they've done is they've reified that relationship, which they visualized as a circle, into reality, and now think they're living on a ball. That's what's happened.
No.
No, it is.
Brandon.
It is.
That was just
Brandon,
complete
I
bullshit,
totally
man.
agree.
A long time.
Well, you replay that and think about it. You'll get it.
No, I have replayed it. That's a bunch of bullshit.
George, can I just ask Brandon a
So,
step? Brandon, can you just take
what I
control
hear
of
on
that triangle?
Twitter, are you guys somehow now trying to get over to measuring Polaris, the angles to Polaris? I don't know where you're all over the map.
No,
here.
we solved that
Just
problem a
stay
long
focused.
time ago. We already figured that out, George. What did you say, Adam?
I was just going to say, could you just pull your triangle about a bit to different distances? Because you can see that the up angle and the angle from the Polaris, say, down to your other place on Earth, if you move it around, they're definitely both straight lines. But as soon as
Wait.
so you've got to be about 2,000 miles in the air. Look, now, can you just show me at what point on that? George, I'm talking.
Stop funny muting Adam.
I've finished my point.
Please, Adam.
I'd just like to ask on what point where you manipulate that triangle where its base is actually touching the circle, that bottom line is straight at any point.
What are you guys talking about measuring the distance Polaris? You cannot measure the distance Polaris on using any baseline based on the Earth. You can't get a large enough baseline.
Because the baseline is curved in your world, isn't it? Yeah.
Say what?
In your world, I know it's imaginary, George, but in your world, that baseline is curved, isn't it? So you can't triangulate because it's everything. No, exactly as Brandon shows. Look, that bottom line isn't straight, is it?
Well,
like the other
you don't use a baseline on the Earth to try to measure distance Polaris. You can't get a large
You were
enough
just talking about
baseline to measure it with
triangulating it
any
from 2
optical
points.
instruments.
Yeah, remember, Adam,
talking
because at any point on this surface, parallel lines somehow extend out into, oh, God knows how far away, and all meet at the same place. Weird, huh?
But
Oh, no, that comes back to what you're saying, Brandon. What they have to do is ignore perspective again.
No,
That's exactly it.
Wait, you guys are
No one has to do
And-
that.
It's
We're on
so
you, George.
Well, if you
simple.
want to measure the distance to
I mean,
Polaris,
come on, George. I'm trying to make a point. You've taught for ages about elementary level geometry, which was very uninteresting, and I won't be time stamping it. We were making a point there before you interrupt again. Yeah, I was backing up Brandon's point that that's exactly what they've done: is hidden perspective, and then diverted it into angular change you have to apply because you're on a ball.
Bingo.
No,
that's
no,
it.
that's
It's
bullshit.
really that simple. In the relationship,
No,
is this curve
guys
right here.
are
The
totally
mathematical
confused.
relationship can be
Hey,
expressed as this
Brandon,
curve.
Brandon, I
He's
want to
And
funding
go.
what they
you,
did was
Brandon.
they said, we live on that
Brian,
mathematical relationship, and we can apply physical geometry to the world without having to take perspective into account. That's
hey,
how they inverted it,
Brandon,
Adam. Do you
real
understand what I'm
quick.
saying?
Brandon,
It's that
real
simple.
quick. Something I
Brandon,
want to
there
tell
was a
you.
point me and 10th were discussing
Hey,
on this,
Brandon,
and
there's
I'm
something
trying
real
to
quick.
exemplify it. Okay, go
Real
on.
quick here, Brandon. I
Okay.
performed a real quick test without going through a lot of push-ups to be real meticulous. I was very accurate in measuring lengths, but I took a U.S. quarter. I took a steel sphere of 95 grams, another one of about 8 grams, and I did the pendulum test. And I'll tell you, flat earth data is just lying to you guys, or full of bullshit, because in all three cases, I took a line of about, in the case of the quarter, I had 300 and, let's see, 307 millimeters, which is just about a little over a foot. And for the two steel spheres, I used 300, around 350 millimeters. They're all about a foot in length. But when I timed, I did 50 periods, timed 50 periods in each case, and computed little g. And in all three cases, I came well within 0.5% of the accepted value of little g. For the 20 US quarter, I got 9.827 meters per second squared. For the larger mass, spherical mass, I got 9.8065, which was 0.0015% within the accepted value. And for the smaller sphere, I got 9.849. So,
Brandon, how do we get so
done.
derailed onto gravity now?
No, all I wanted to do is point out to Brandon and I have been talking about this for several days. So I just wanted to point out to him that flat earth data is bullshitting you guys.
But we were
And
talking
I was
about geometry.
telling him to do his test live on the air, and I'll do mine live on the air. Anyway,
This is going in his
Different
book.
answers, so they weren't the same then, right, George? They were different, right?
This is going in the book, George. This will be in the book.
What?
George, just to ask, I'll let you interrupt there.
Yeah, guys, don't get too far
the
off.
relevance of that,
Adam,
please.
please go ahead. George, I understand what you said. We will get back to that, George. I understand.
All right, later. Enjoy.
Okay.
No, just wait. Just wait.
Yeah.
Oh, Brandon, Rumpus wants you to unmute him. Okay.
Well, I'll
Anyway,
do that in a minute
later.
after Adam gets through with his thing, because he's been derailed thus far, and that will definitely derail it
It's been
further.
built up now, Brandon, to something it's not. It was just a mere conceptual point that we were talking about mean 10th about this in terms of azimuth and measuring angles. And if I was to take a drone across a really flat lake that I could see for as far as the eye can see, whatever the ether band determines that day, if it and I put it 400 foot above me, and I took a 90-degree angle, and I kept it 400 foot above that flat plane, and as I took it away from me, that angle would change, wouldn't it? It would reduce. Now, what the ballers do is assume that angle change is due to curvature again, rotation and rotational change that changes your position to it with regards to the sky. What you do if you take a drone, fly it across, is demonstrate you get the same effect just by it moving across the sky in front of you, very simply.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what you're describing. Yeah.
Yep, and let me just give a little brief explanation, just to tack on to what you said here. So let's pretend this is our observer down here. Here's our person standing here. These are the angles, and you have something moving away from you, your drone. We can let the blue line represent the drone. This is how the ballers would calculate the angle to this drone. So it's flying away, it's flying away. They assume that on a flat plane, the angles would exactly match how that we have them written here on this paper. If we were to do this to scale, it would exactly match. But what we see in reality with perspective is this, the sky appearing to go down to meet the ground. And they do get smaller and smaller angles as it goes away, but they add curvature in to reality. So they view this in reality and they said, hold on, this doesn't match. It doesn't match what we've calculated based on trigonometry on paper. So we have to add the curvature in to make it match our observation. And then they say, well, we have debunked your flat Earth model because it doesn't match how we think the angles to these objects should work as they go away from you, therefore debunked. And my contention is that they're doing it wrong. They shouldn't be assuming curvature in that, and that we would expect different angles than physical trigonometry on paper in reality due to perspective and optical effects as something goes away from us.
Yeah.
Can I throw in a real world example?
They
Sorry, you
assume
go.
infinite distance, yeah, and in doing so, that allows them to just put that angle change down to, in this case, for a baller, down to rotation. The only attribute is rotation to that angular change. It's not, as you can demonstrate, it just getting further away. Now, they put those stars so far away that they pretend that effect doesn't happen.
Exactly. Yep, that's how Polaris. That's how they get away with the intersecting parallel lines to Polaris. Well, it's 320 some trillion miles away, so perspective doesn't impact it. There's no parallax there because it's so damn far away. But one thing that if you draw the relationships that they have on the model, no matter how far I draw this out, I could draw this 1,000 miles out. This visual space right here that this man is looking in will never be, these clouds will never occupy that visual space on paper, ever. But in reality, we see that those clouds will occupy all the visual space down to the horizon. So just think about that. It's something I'm still thinking about and trying to work out the exact details. I think I'm almost there, and I can almost supply calculations for how you that makes sense and can give you your precious predictions for a flat plane. Anyway, so
Brandon,
let's move on unless anybody has anything to say.
I have a semi-related real-world thing. Can I just throw it in?
Yeah.
Okay, so last night I spent a couple of hours with a buddy of my son. Now, this guy's in the Navy, and he on his ship he is considered an expert in a particular area. I don't want to get any finer than that because I don't want to draw any attention to him. Now, he was speaking. It's related. He's not a radar expert, but he's in a sort of related area of the ship. So he was talking to radar experts on his vessel about, and this guy, this buddy of my son, is a flat earther, and they have got 50, 60 mile line of sight radar. And he said to them, he said, how come we've got line of sight contact with whatever the target was or whatever the other vessel was at 50, 60 miles because Earth curvature, and he threw numbers at them and whatever. And these guys, these experts in radar, and would all probably agree an expert in the military is fairly clued up on their area, didn't really have an answer. And then he said they started pulling out, not refraction, but words like this. But he said they did it in a way that they were just kind of shooting the breeze at how it might be possible. Not that they'd actually been taught this, even as experts in their field. They hadn't been trained as to why you can see too far with a radar line of sight. And I just thought that was really interesting that that's from the horse's mouth on an Australian war vessel. They weren't quite sure why they could see a target too far away. Doesn't prove anything, but I found it interesting.
Should we unleash Rumpus and turn it into a shit show or what?
Why not?
Well, it is 6:44.
Before you do, Brandon, I've sent you that map.
Oh yeah, let's take a
Sean
look at that real
Hawkins just
quick, and then
tells me.
I'll let you out, Rumpus.
I've done it in Skype. Yeah.
Oh, in Skype. Okay, that's what that ding was. Got it.
Bing.
Let me bring that up real quick here. Adam. Open. Okay. 1 second, it's downloading. There we go.
If anyone has anything to say, they better say it now before the rumpus gets out.
How far away was this target?
Hopefully this is readable. It's very...
I've had to zoom in.
50 to 60 miles.
How tall was the vessel?
I don't know specifically, NASA. Would you like me to find out?
Well, I mean, because at 40 feet you can see 30 miles.
DM me whatever questions you'd like asked, and I'll find out for you.
Just wondering how tall was the radar dish off the water?
I don't know. I just the target's 50 to 60 miles.
Can you tell
Not
me
30,
the
not 30 miles. 50 to 60 miles. So you DM me whatever questions you would like, and I'll get you the information. I don't have any information beyond what I've shared, so I'm not just going to make stuff up.
Ask him again, paid NASA show. Ask him again.
No, because he's being honest for a change.
I mean, he told you, and then you asked him again, and then he told, you know, how many times does he got to tell you? He doesn't have it. You got a learning disability or some shit.
It's coming from a flat earther. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty bad for on your part then, huh?
Let's hear what Adam has to say about this map, because paid NASA will do the same thing Rumpus does. So go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, just like I said, adding to what he said, the assumption. I think the comment I received from Sean Hawkins in your Discord was, "Oh, that's accurate," and I asked him to verify it. How he would verify it's inaccurate. This is an old map that is drawn up by, I think it's kind of some kind of Protestant evangelistic on a crusade. You'll see a lot of stuff, data in the corners. It's worth a good read, because he does draw questions to a lot of the current maps, particularly with regard to the current conflict with Russia and the British Empire, and regards to the size of Afghanistan, which is a place that's been fought over recently. And he says it's vastly underestimated on all maps. The other thing that's worth a look at is Tartary's listed on there, and the position of the continents. But this is a plotted working map. But like I said, the point with it was it's quite noticeable. It's actually plotted a fair bit the equator over Africa and South America, and the line they've been able to draw from their geographic stuff. Maybe there is a lot of supposition over the oceans, but their line of best fit over the land is elliptical. That was the point.
Wow, this is a strange map. When was this from, did you say?
I've not got the date to hand. I was just literally, as you told me to talk about it there, was just going to try and pull that up, but
yeah, I can't see it.
It's worth a read of the little bottom text zooming in and stuff, because it does talk about why the map's there and hidden bits, and so there's that old mud flood Tartary in there. But with respect to what we were saying, it's just that plotting a continent position and B.
Yeah, this is an interesting
it's not
one.
Circular.
I've never seen this one before. I'll pop
Called
this
the
in
Middleton
Discord,
map.
unless it's already in there.
I put it in earlier. It's probably worth redoing.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. All right, you guys ready? We might get a diagram.
Well, let me say a prayer.
I think we're gonna
Let me
get
say
a
a prayer
diagram.
first.
So there's that.
Take a snapshot if it gets crazy.
Get ready to rump it.
Hey, Brandon, I did make a video about those angles in reality. If you care to check it out?
With the basketball hoop?
Connection.
No, not that one.
Right.
Oh, okay. I'll look for it.
I cannot believe you guys don't understand tangents. and you don't understand how you really are saying. I don't know whether you were joking earlier. I've got a drawing, I think, of reproducing what Brandon did earlier. Are you telling me you really don't know how to work out the angle a line intersects a curve? As I've reproduced what Brandon did. You really have a problem understanding the angle that those lines are intersecting that sphere. Really? Or are you just joking? You said you're having some fun. You weren't being. Were you being serious? You had a problem?
You know what? People thought that the geometry thing was boring, so we're not going to go over it again. Did you have anything else to present, or?
Okay. Well, you don't seem to understand what a tangent is and the angle of a tangent. You're talking about basic geometry. You don't seem to understand the most basic elements of geometry. If it's straight lines, anybody can do straight line geometry. But when you get to about 13 or 14, you have to deal with tangents, and you don't seem to understand how to work out the angle of a tangent.
No, we get it. Yeah, we get it. So you have you have the line coming down and touching the circle, and what you do is you draw the flat surface that we live on there, and then you calculate the angle.
It's nothing to do with living on. We're talking about geometry. It has nothing to do with living on. We're talking about geometry, pure geometry.
But you do need to draw that flat surface, that tangent, before you can get the angle.
Right. Yeah. Talking about tangents. Right. You understand what a tangent is, then? Do you?
Do
you
I've been
understand?
saying it like 5 times tonight and pointing out tangents.
You go off on them regularly. You often go.
Right, so here we go. So I'm going to now draw on a tangent.
I would call it a tirade, but all right, tangent.
I'm going to draw. Actually, the way to draw a tangent. The way to actually draw a tangent. Let me show you how you draw a tangent. In fact,
straight flat line first. You need.
No, it has to be. Well, no, it's a perspective. Here we go. Right, so there we. I'm going to make. This is
really, are we going to subject everyone to how to draw a tangent, Brandon?
Do you tell me how to time my shoes after?
Are we going to put
This will be quick. This will be really quick.
Let's see how quick it is.
Nothing you do is quick. Nothing you do is quick, Rumpus.
Oh, it is. I'm just.
Rumpus be cooking minute rice for 5 hours.
Right. So what I've done here is I've
you
now.
Just ask Mrs. Rumpus.
Oh,
there you go.
Ah.
Oh boy.
Got him.
Need to listen.
Very quickly.
Do you know
so
how
I'm
to
now
draw
just
a
getting a radius here.
Okay.
So I'm just getting a radius here.
Okay.
And then to get a tangent, we put a 90 degrees to the radius.
Yeah.
So there's a tangent, and I put it on there, and so there we go. That's
just like the one I drew earlier. Yep.
Well, no,
going to the geometry Discord with George.
There you go. Now you have your flat surface, and you can get an angle off of it.
It's not a flat surface. It's not a surface.
Yeah.
We're just looking in here. If I zoom in like this, let me just I'll remove.
How much zoom? Hold on, George was unclear. How many times do we got to zoom in?
We decided on 200. 200 zoom.
Right, here we go.
Rumpus.
No,
if you don't zoom in 200x, it don't count.
If you've done any calculus, which obviously you haven't.
How far away are you when you begin the zoom?
Listen. If you'd taken on board the things that Newton had discovered and Leibniz discovered 400 years ago, you would not be asking such a stupid question.
I love his stuff about alchemy. I've read all that stuff and the end world apocalypse stuff.
Well, you should try reading the science
really
stuff.
Good stuff.
You should try reading
the
science.
Well, yeah, that's all in support of his end world theory.
That's not science. No, that's not science.
Yeah.
So if you understood, for instance, infinitesimals, you'd understand that if we go into what Newton does, going to the infinitesimal state, I can't zoom any more than 25,000.
What year did he say that world was going to end, Rumpus? Newton? He predicted the world was going to, the apocalypse was coming.
Not relevant to discussion. So
like
the point is
or something
that
like
was
that a scientific prediction? Was that a hypothesis?
Science fiction prediction.
Doesn't matter.
Science
because
fiction.
the thing that Newton was using when they're doing things like this, he tested against
we
the
don't mean
real
to
world.
rumpus you. We don't mean to.
They didn't do that. That was in the real world. You testing against, just as Feynman said. So that's what we're doing here. So if you understood anything about geometry, you would understand that a tangent is one point where this thing here, which is the tangent, meets the curve, and it's exactly at 90 degrees. And so the angle that it meets, it is very, very well defined. And if you knew about differentiation, which obviously you don't, you'd know that you can know the angle of any particular point, infinitesimally small. You know the exact.
How big is it?
You know the exact.
When he said it twice, it was
how
funny,
small is it?
but then he said it
How
a third
small is
time.
it?
Infinitesimally. Now, if you understood,
is that really small?
I mean, if you'd done any maths beyond the age of 15, you would know about this. But obviously, you haven't, so I have to allow for that. When Newton discovered this, when Newton discovered this, along with Leibniz, it was a big revolution, but you're 400 years behind. And this is everybody beyond about the age of 16 doing maths and physics has to understand this. And I appreciate you don't because you're stupid and ignorant, but it's very well defined, the angle of a curve. And the fact that you don't understand this, I mean, it just means you don't understand geometry, you don't understand infinitesimals, you don't understand small sizes of things, and there's a whole world out there that you don't understand, and you're just ignorant of it. And because you don't understand it, you dismiss it. And the fact that Jeremy was going on about the angles and you don't understand the angle to Polaris, and Adam, who claims to have got some
projection.
sort of university education, doesn't know this either. I mean, he's a moron, I know, but he's got very little excuse for his stupidity.
Is this a tangent or
how long are
tirade?
we going to
Which
let
one's this?
Those are like, how many hours a day do you devote to feeding your ego, Rumpus? I mean,
I don't need my ego's sufficiently huge that I don't need to feed it at all. It's
I got
sufficiently
narcissistic personality disorder, NPD. You should
No,
look it
it's
up.
just based on the reality that I know a lot. I mean, I know I'm stupid in comparison to lots of people in this world.
No,
But
it's
provide me-
narcissistic, not stupid.
You
A lot of
provide me with
narcissists are very
chamber-
intelligent, but
Hey,
you
bro,
are
I got a question
narcissistic.
for Rumpus. Who said they feigned no hypothesis?
Say again, sorry.
There's a historical figure that you've referenced multiple times. His direct quote is, "I feign no hypothesis." Who
That
said
was
that?
Newton.
There
I
you
think
go.
that was Newton. That was Newton.
So why are you feigning the hypothesis if he didn't?
Well, he wasn't. He was. He was.
He didn't understand.
Not
He
feigning
didn't
the
understand.
hypothesis. He didn't understand how in gravity you can have an instantaneous.
Fe called it. You called it.
He actually said it.
You're stupid. Yeah, you're stupid. Yeah.
Fe
Yes,
called
he
it.
was talking about the speed with which gravity occurs. He wasn't talking about the existence of gravity or the force of gravity. He was talking about the speed, the interaction. That was the bit that he was talking about. So he's talking about how it happens. Everything about it being a force and how it works in terms of the effect, he absolutely stuck
let's
to.
read it. Let's read it just to make sure we're all on the same page. He said, "Hitherto we have explained the phenomena of the heavens and of our sea by the power of gravity, but have not yet assigned the cause of this power. I have not been able to discover the cause of those properties of gravity from phenomena, and I frame no hypotheses, for whatever is not deduced from the phenomena is to be called a hypothesis, and hypotheses, whether metaphysical or physical, whether of occult qualities or mechanical, have no place in experimental philosophy." You guys left that a long time ago. To us, it is enough that gravity does really exist and acts according to the laws which we have explained.
the shit out of you. I didn't hear anything.
Rumpus,
Do you not-
you're
do
an
you- Rumpus,
asshole.
stop
Why
talking
are you
for
doing
20
that?
seconds.
Right, now hold on, Brandon.
Mute
His ass.
Read
Can I have a
that
second?
whole paragraph.
'Cause that's
The
that's
whole
very
paragraph
telling
was
from the
about
Rumpus.
the cause.
He even
Rumpus,
has
you're
to
ruining the
Rumpus.
show.
I'm gonna mute you,
Rumpus.
Rumpus. I'm gonna
Adam, hold
mute
on.
you.
Rumpus,
Has
you're
to
ruining the show.
Rumpus
You're muted.
Newton.
Christ, you're ruining the
Can you start
show,
over,
dude.
Brandon?
What's that?
Can you read that
Brandon,
again,
I thought
Brandon?
that
I
was
couldn't hear
telling.
anything.
Yes, I'll read it again.
A Newton quote.
Ready? Hitherto we have explained the phenomena of the heavens and of our sea by the power of gravity, but we have not yet assigned the cause of this power. I have not been able to discover the cause of those properties of gravity from phenomena, and I frame no hypotheses, for whatever is not deduced from the phenomena is to be called a hypothesis. And hypotheses, whether physical or metaphysical, whether of occult qualities or mechanical, have no place in experimental philosophy. To us, it is enough that gravity does really exist and acts according to the laws which we have explained, and abundantly serves to account for all the motions of the celestial bodies and of our sea, which sounds like a hypothesis to me, by the way.
He was wrong
Thank
on
you,
multiple
Brandon.
accounts on
Thank
what he
you for-
just said.
Thank you
But
for reading that, Brandon.
No problem.
yeah, he was wrong on about explaining the motion of the heavenly bodies, because that's where Newton's shit falls apart at. When you get to the heavenly bodies.
Exists.
That's what he said.
Did you hear the part he said about the heavenly bodies? Was he right or was he wrong? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Here's another one too I posted that he says this most beautiful system of the sun, the planets, and comets could only have been produced or preceded with the counsel of the dominion of an intelligent, powerful being. This being governs all as a lord over all, and it is to account for his dominion. He is called the Lord God. Isaac Newton, 1687.
Oh, Newton was a huge religious, he would be considered a religious nut by most of the Globers in this community today. He was an occultist. He did most of his work on occultism. All of his physics work can be looked at as an extension that supported his real interest, which was occultism, end world, what is it called? End world,
Tribulation.
tribulation, all that stuff. He
Eschatology.
he predicted when the world would end, when the second coming would happen. He was
Prophecy.
Prophecy. Thank you, end world prophecy.
He was
What's
also an
the
early
relevance of that?
flamenco, Brandon. He was. He does a lot of papers on chronology.
Oh, that's right. He
questioning-
bagged on flamenco, didn't? Or he bagged on what's his face, didn't he? Scaliger.
Scaliger. Yeah.
Yeah, good point.
It was.
Don't forget that he hated his parents and he struggled with his relationship with God, and actually he was very contentious towards God and how he felt about that. He wrote about his frustration. So it was like he although he would attribute to God, he would actually struggle how God made him feel, and so he had some resentment there.
Can I
That's
ask
honest.
what is the relevance of all this?
Well, really, at all things considered, a lot of these atheists they like Darwin, and they to talk about how stupid people earn Darwin awards, right? Newton drank mercury because he thought he would crap out gold, and yet they attribute this guy as some sort of their intellectual firepower.
No, but that's alchemy. That makes sense because the human body does appear to transmute sodium to potassium, which is nonsensical but in alchemic terms, that you can excuse a little bit of experimentation on yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He wasn't like running around saying, "Come here, look, I've just had a bit of this. I'm going to shit some gold out later. Don't worry, boys, we're all rich." Yeah, he weren't like a snake oil salesman with it, was it? It was just. It's one of that's like a bad press, isn't it? It's a bad headline from experimenting. I think Brandon said it, not just alchemy, but fully occultist stuff, which was not considered as it is today.
This is why if a globalist would just go to a library, check out a few history books, it would clear all this stuff up.
Oh, that would clear it up, great. You think this whole thing?
But
We could just end this?
would can I ask as a glober, what would that clear? Because this is all everything like I already know about this. So what's the
way of
to be
thinking
clarified?
that Newton's ideas, the way they're presented to us today, were the way Newton thought of them. No, if you just listen to what we were just saying, he was much more encompassed in a much more metaphysical world than just the mechanical world that history ascribes to him.
Yeah, and why is that relevant?
If you don't understand that, then really you're wasting everybody's time for an explanation.
Well, I actually don't understand it because I don't think it's relevant. Like you're trying.
Then maybe if you do understand, you should explain why you think it's not relevant. Then, if you're going to stay relevant.
Well,
yourself.
from my point of view, it's kind of like trying to poison the well because this guy thought that, so he's a nut. So we don't need to listen to him what he told us about gravity because he was into alchemy and all sorts of crazy stuff.
You guys do that all the
Yeah,
time.
that didn't address what I said. What I said was, if we look at the way in which Newton's worldview is presented today, it is presented in a solely mechanical way. If we listen to what we've just said about Newton, that's not how the man thought. In fact, he would be described as a bit of a fundy, wouldn't he? A bit of a lunatic Christian, fundamentally, yeah. So to then reascribe his stuff in modern terms is not reasonable, yeah. What you're saying is, no, it is reasonable, and we should pay no attention to the man himself, the way he thought and the way he viewed the world.
No, I didn't say that.
Well, then what are you saying? We shouldn't. So we should pay attention to the way the man viewed the whole world when we consider his writings, or we shouldn't. What are you saying?
Well, we can pay attention to him.
So your first point was wholly incorrect, and you've conceded it then, yeah?
No, I didn't. I didn't say. You're trying to put words into my mouth. I don't think
I'm
that's
not.
honest.
I was asking
No,
you
you
whether
are.
you.
You actually are.
So how wasn't your first point that you brought up then incorrect? Considering you just said that we should consider the whole man and the way you viewed the world.
I didn't. Because the words you put in my mouth were that I said we
Only
shouldn't.
your words from your mouth. Don't try and twist it. They're your words. I'm only repeating them back to you.
Well, okay.
That's
So
very
I can
weak,
clearly
isn't it?
see
And
Adam.
not addressing a point.
Adam,
Very
I
weak
can
and
see
not
that you're not ready to
the
have a
point, then.
conversation.
No,
Adam,
stick to
I
the
can
point.
see.
You mean you've lost? You mean you
Adam,
concede
I
the
can see
point?
that you're not ready to have a
Brilliant.
conversation, so I'm just going to stop because you're acting like a child, and it's too
You
late
got him,
for
Adam.
me.
You got him.
That's
This is
called
how
running away.
I think that I'll
That's
take that
called
as a
running away.
concession. Yeah.
What? How
Well,
many
you're
times?
being childish. You're putting words into my mouth, and I don't appreciate that. You're
Well,
being a
then
liar.
clarify
saying that.
it. Engage and clarify it.
Engage and clarify. And when I try to do that, he interrupts me. So he's being a cunt. Why would I engage with a cunt?
Oh, a little
that's
bit
harsh.
You
harsh.
must have hit a soft
That's
spot.
a bit
Harsh,
harsh.
but true.
Yeah,
Harsh, but true.
throws a heavy C word in early. Wobbling a bit.
Harsh.
Got nowhere to go after that, Adam. You've used the big gun at that point.
Yeah, so
and he's
so
not
Adam,
Australian.
Adam,
If he was,
Adam,
if
you
he
just,
was
you just
Australian,
said,
that's just
Adam, you
standard
just
vernacular,
said that
but he's lost.
you don't,
He's lost,
Adam, you just said that the Earth is actually not flat; it's actually a globe, right?
No, I
You
didn't.
just said that.
No, who's
Well,
putting words
yeah,
in
yeah,
mouths?
you actually did. You
Who's
said
putting
that.
words in mouths now?
Yeah. Well,
Come
well,
on.
you did that,
Come
so
on,
I
you
can do that,
projector.
right? Because if we're being dishonest, I can be that as well. I can just
I
put
was
words
being
into
dishonest.
your mouth.
We're carrying on with the projection.
Yes,
then.
yes, we were.
Yeah,
because
we are.
You
I
said,
thought we were.
You
Brilliant.
said that I said that we don't need
You
to
said
consider.
that I said that your mum said that my mum
now you're not letting
is
me
older
talk.
than your
Yeah,
dad.
that's nice.
Yeah, brilliant.
Triggered. What did you say then? Please clarify. What did you say?
Oh, no. This is turning into farce. I've got no desire to engage in Muppets. Like
Yeah,
this.
Laurie's
I've
going to
got
try to
no
take
desire
us
to
down a
engage you either.
mudslinging road.
Run
Laurie,
away,
every
Adam.
single
Run away.
conversation with you descends into
Run
the
away,
same
Adam.
thing, you fucking troll.
So what's the problem here, Brandon? Can you clarify? What's the problem?
I don't care what the problem is, but I will tell you this. How many times have we heard out of a Glober's mouth that QE is just a cook in the army? Or somebody, or he's a religious nut, or Nathan worked in a grocery store, or so-and-so was an Uber driver, or blah, blah, blah. SE's a garbage man. How many times have we heard
I'm
that?
a janitor.
You're a
I'm
janitor.
a janitor, you heard?
But I guess that's okay
Well,
to focus on the man when we're talking about flat earthers, but suddenly we want to bring up the baggage that comes along with one of your heroes, and that's not good.
Because he was
That's
a
interesting.
scientist, probably the best scientist of his era.
Brandon, check your DM real quick. Play that Peyton Ass show clip if you want. I didn't even listen to it yet.
Because he was the best scientist of his era. And you guys are all saying at the top amount stupid.
You have
I bet you we embarrassed.
Who is his opposition? Name some of his opposing scientists. If you're going to
I
declare
think, Brandon,
he was
that
the best
you
of his
had
time.
half a point there, or maybe even a full point. You cannot dismiss someone's good arguments just by saying, "Oh, this guy is a garbage truck driver." Therefore,
You can't just say, "Oh,
this
you're a
guy-
janitor.
This
What
guy
do
is
you
a
know?"
janitor. Yeah, exactly.
How
You
about
cannot
you're
just
a
say, "Well,
janitor,
heard that about
what do you know
1,000
about
fucking
science?
times.
What do you know about science?
However-
Have you studied science?
the difference.
What
The
makes
difference
you-
is
what gives-
there are no good
Still,
arguments.
go and watch
for the
Good Will
flat Earth.
Hunting, buddy. Might
I've
sort
seen
you
Good
out.
Will Hunting.
so-
You realize,
so
you
not
realize
only-
that's
not
work
only-
fiction,
Hey,
right?
why are you
Not only
stepping
are
all
guys
over Lori?
garbage
made
truck
after my real
drivers and
life when the
janitors,
events
but you don't have
happened in
good
real time.
arguments either.
Hey,
Wow. Do
Hey,
we want
NASA
to flex
Shell,
guns?
this is
or something?
why are you stepping all over Lori? I don't understand. Couldn't hear anything he said
I'm
after the
sorry,
middle of his
it's
sentence.
It's tough not to talk over some people in here. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. What was the second half of what
Or
you
you're
were going to
just
say,
rude.
Lori?
One or the other.
No. I also find it
I'm just
interesting
responding
that
to
Newton,
them.
one of your heroes of science, was an occultist and a religious fanatic. I find that interesting. It being as most of the globe community is vehemently anti-religion.
It was a very religious age he lived in.
Most people
They're still,
back
I
in
say
that
it,
time were.
I would say that most scientists are probably theists of some type or another.
You think so? You think there's more theist scientists than there are atheists?
Oh yeah, definitely.
'Cause
They're just not fundamentalists.
I would say that there are, in my experience in this community, more atheists than there are theists on the globe side.
Way more.
Don't know about that.
Yeah, I have a theory about that too.
Would you admit that there are such thing as mad scientists?
Yeah, I've seen the movies.
Well, I'm just saying.
I mean, they wear white coats and they make all sorts of monsters and stuff. I got it.
Got frizzy hair.
Yeah.
I've seen them.
Frizzy hair.
Biasness.
Make time machines, right?
Yeah, big glasses.
Out of DeLoreans.
Do they exist?
No,
out of
I'm talking
movies?
about
Yes or no?
experiments on the human body. You know, there's mad scientists.
I mean, like Frankenstein.
Real mad
yeah,
scientists
I read that book.
that need to be behind bars. So it's like you just exclude that when you say he's a real scientist. You know, it's
Can you give some
you also
examples
said
of these?
you also said he was the greatest of his time.
That's true.
Can you name other scientists of his time?
Offhand? No, I'd have to look for it because.
Then why would you say he's the greatest of his time? You don't even know any of the other ones.
That's because the other ones weren't as important.
He's the most celebrated.
So you was only taught one. He was only taught one, and you declare he's the greatest.
Well, I mean, you know, when you have
that's
your own
very
sculpture,
brilliant.
When you have your own sculpture in the
Doesn't mean
cathedral
anything.
in
Doesn't mean
England,
anything.
that's pretty much
Utterly meaningless.
You know,
You only looked
Just
at
means
one
somebody
sculpture.
sculpted him.
Let me answer your question, James, why he knows Newton's name and why he exalts him as the greatest scientist of his time. Because what Newton did with his theory of gravitation was he tied the tangible, empirical evidence, what we would call little g gravity, the way things fall to the ground, however you want to say it, on Earth, the things that we can actually measure and observe, to what we see in the sky. He tied those two things together. They call it the first great unification.
Which we know those things in the sky, though, don't follow Newton's law of gravity.
It's almost a religious event for
no, they don't.
heliocentrism.
Yes, they do.
I got a phone call on speed dial. They are making. Thank you for calling me, Laurie. Just stay off his shoulders. He's a little drunk and he might be afraid of you at this moment. So I'm making. I got you,
Jose.
brother.
Good evening, Jose. Good to speak to you, bro.
What's up, Jose?
Thank you for speed dialing me. I'm here to white knight you.
Whenever,
Laurie, leave him
you know, whenever I'm in a panic, I'm gonna give you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
That's what that button's for, baby. That's what the button's for.
Yeah, it's real important to show that there are people who can have a pleasant conversation. They're just not these triggered snowflakes. These spiral.
The Adam Meekin is okay. Shout out to Adam Meekin.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's a lot of globe people I have conversations with every day. Some of them you can't because they are just snowflakes and they melt as soon as you suggest the Earth is flat.
Hey, Jose.
I'd like to confirm that
some people
Jose's okay as well.
Jose, I want to get your opinion on something.
If I saw evidence the Earth was flat, I would jump all over it. I'd jump on board. Absolutely. I wouldn't reject it.
You know that there's so much evidence that without today's communications a long time ago, everybody thought it was flat.
Hey, Jose, I want to ask you about something that's happened recently, Jose. Did you see that Sensible issued a strike against Flatzoid? Have you followed that at all?
Yeah, man. I just saw after my show, the Mr. Sensible uploaded it like a short video, and I watched that. It's the first time I heard about this. It's unfortunate. I wouldn't done it. I tell my people, use my videos as you wish. People, I mean, Montreal, Try Thinking, and others have mirrored whole streams of mine from beginning to end, like downloaded and uploading the channels. I don't care. I find it unnecessary. I know it's a little bit over the whatever fair use and blah blah blah. I'm not like that. If anybody even misrepresent me, which a lot of people do, and they want to use my videos to misinterpret me or whatever it is, so be it. I'm here doing YouTube videos, and I'm putting myself in that situation. Unfortunately, I say do not copyright strike. So Mr. Sensible did a boo boo there. He shouldn't done it.
Jose, what do you have to do? You know, if you do that and it's challenged, and I assume Mr. Sensible isn't the real person's name, what do you have to do after that's been done to you? And what are the implications if you make a copyright strike, it's then challenged, and then you refuse to deal with the challenge?
I am not sure. I haven't found myself in that situation. I had a copyright strike once. It was by a company. I don't know if it was Periscope's Films or something like that. And I got my 3 months with no live streaming. I contacted the company and they say, "Oh man, it should have been a mistake." I say, "I was just playing a video of yours for educational because we were talking about science and stuff." They say, "Yeah, no big deal. We didn't copyright strike you. That was YouTube directly because their whole gallery is on YouTube, and YouTube caught that was using somebody else's video, and they give me the copyright." So we did the exchange. They sent me a letter like, "Yeah, he's okay. You know, he's gonna delete that segment of the video and giving his whatever channel back." And YouTube did. They did good. We dealt with it. But in this situation, Flatsoy have to tell Mr. Sensible, like, you know what? I mean, he gotta contact him somehow, join one of his streams and tell him, like, dude, you shouldn't do this, you know, like, speak to him face to face. I know he was.
It was worse than that. It was worse than that. They were engaged in conversation like that. However, whilst engaged in that conversation, the copyright strike had already been made. A very disingenuous conversation, from my understanding.
Yeah. I saw the video. I saw the clip. Mr. Sensible say, I tried to contact Flatsoy, tell him that to edit the video, tweak it, do something because he's using whatever is going on about the copyright. But Mr. Sensible leaving a comment. This is like what I heard from Sensible side. He left a comment in Flatsoy like, "Hey, you know what? You need to call me. We can sort this out over the video." But I think he's blocked or Flatsoy deleted his comment, whatever. So they couldn't contact him. Sensible didn't have his email. So he said, "Oh, well, I'm going to have to copyright strike him if I don't got a way to contact him, you know?"
Now that's happened. What I'm saying is, I think a challenge has been made. So the question now is, will the challenge be defended? If it's not, then I think YouTube have the right to, because YouTube's got quite, over the past few years, quite savvy to what's been going off, where people are being silenced and copyright striked falsely.
Oh, yeah. Now Sensible got the winning side because he already got what he wanted. Now Flatsoid have to holler at YouTube now. They say, "Hey, YouTube, there was something sketchy happened here.
Yeah.
Look,
So
this is what I did." And now YouTube is going to be the intermediate guy. You know,
my advice
that's what I'm
to
saying.
everyone.
They're not
Hold
just
on,
intermediate. They're judgment, aren't they? If you now then, after making the copyright claim against someone, and don't then go on and fully defend it, YouTube have the right to strike your channel, which is what I think is quite interesting.
My advice for everyone would be to just blackball Mr. Sensible and don't engage with him. Don't use any of his material ever, and just pretend like he's not even there.
Yo,
I have used his full videos, but when he is either in the call or in the chat, he say, "Mr. Sensible, I did a video that I say I'm playing your video over here." He say, "Yeah, that's cool." So it's kind of a quick yes, can I use it or not, you know? That's what I try to do when other content creators, I try to tell them or ask them, "Hey, can I use this section of the video or the whole video? I like to see it." They say, "Yeah, go for it," or "No, don't you use it." I say, "All right, you know."
Yeah, you guys, this is nothing.
Yeah, just send.
This is nothing.
Just before you use the video, just, "Hey, can I use it?" Just ask a simple question. I've asked Ranty a few times if I can use a section of his video. I mean, I know I've used a lot of Brandon's. I haven't, but I always put I put a link in the description to your channel.
I stopped, but I used to play a lot of segments of the Nathan Oakley show, a year and a half ago. Every once in a while, all the interactions. I stopped doing it, even though Nathan, whatever, loving or hating, I don't think he's going to copyright strike me or other content creator because
No, I
he's
don't.
up for it,
Yeah.
So I give him, these kudos for that, because even though I got a lot of segments of him, he also got a lot of segments on QE of my channel. So I don't care. That's why I'm here on YouTube. People can use my shit however.
Today we
Jose,
made about
I
today
disagree.
on your
I
show,
wouldn't.
Jose.
That
Today on your
doesn't
show we
allow
made
us
about
right.
10 Go ahead, Adam.
Well, we're talking here as if using other people's content on YouTube is against YouTube rules. It's not. You have to make it transformative, or review it, or make comments throughout it.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then,
that's fair. Yeah,
and if you've done that and they've put their video on YouTube, then there isn't a copyright claim, and that's
yeah.
my
I think they give
understanding
you
of the
up to.
situation here.
I think they give you up to
Um,
like 30 seconds or something within. I can use it 2 hours. I can use one full stream of whatever Iron Realm Media, a 2-hour stream, and I can make it a 4-hour stream with my end. Like, okay, let's watch this. I play every 30 seconds and I stop. All right. So what's going on here? How you doing? Shout out to whatever. And then I play another 30 seconds. Like, okay, I'm just here, a quick fart, so I can break it down. Don't use it continuously. 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes of a video specifically. That's what the
Like
copyright tries to.
legally, I mean, Mr. Sensible had every right to copyright strike him because of the the guidelines.
He
But
does, but he
morally, I
shouldn't.
mean, shouldn't he
shouldn't.
have?
Yeah.
Should he have? Should he have? Probably not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how I
'Cause
feel
we
too.
all use each other's content all the time.
Because he broke
Yeah,
it
this
down.
is
Adam, are
Sensible
you
broke it
trying to
down, and he
say?
said this rule and this rule, and he broke down the minutes. And I'm just thinking to myself, who cares, man? You just don't do that to other content creators. It just seems so petty, and I wouldn't do it. I don't care if anybody uses my videos. I really don't.
I'll tell you what, Jose. If QE watches your shit from today, he's gonna make about 10 numpty clips out of that from all the bullshit.
Yeah, and I
that
don't care. I
cares
mean,
about?
yeah,
Who
that's
cares?
good. I like
Adam,
when people use clips of my videos even to make fun of me or call me a retard or whatever. It's advertisement.
Being called a numpty by QE means you're
Any
probably right.
any publicity is good publicity, Jose.
If you guys, what you're looking at is this idea of copywriting people. It goes back to like 2016 when atheism melted down in a thermonuclear explosion. They started attacking each other, like Thunderfoot versus Amazing Atheist versus PZ Myers versus Skeptic. They all started melting down over this atheism plus and tried to burn the house and tried to burn the church. And this is where these tactics still evolve to this day. They just switched gears and targeted flat Earth.
You know what I found the other day in the copyright, in my copyright in the analytics, that somebody was using my video, 100% of my video. I said, what the hell? When I click on it, I one day I grabbed a breakdancing video from whatever channel, so a small channel of little breakdance video. I put it in my stream, and then months after they say, oh, they're using 100% of your video. So they were telling me that they were using my video when I used their video, and then they kept dropping like 7 or 8 more channels that use that video. YouTube is telling me that they are using my video when that's originally not my video. I go like, what the hell is going on here, man?
So are you getting the revenue from that video that you mirrored of?
I don't know. I guess. Yeah.
So Adam, was you trying to say that YouTube seems to be not going by what the law says about copyright?
Then what I'd say is, if you engage in this action, you can't be known from this point on as Mr. Sensible.
Right.
Well, he's very sensible. Everything triggers him. These are basically atheism. Everything will be a spiral and a trigger.
Like I said, my advice would be for everyone to not engage him. Don't use his content. Just act like he's not even there if he's going to start copyright striking people.
I think he was
my
using the other
understanding is
sense.
at this point on, you lose your anonymity.
No,
There you go.
Jeremy. I mean, if you're gonna use his content, contact him. Hey, man, can I use this? And I'm pretty sure he'd be more than happy to let you use it.
Another thing too is this guy probably thinks he won something for science by doing this. Like he defended the globe from Flatzoid. Like he thinks this is something that is in line with how scientists would conduct themselves.
I'm not a big fan of copyrights. I think that I'm making you feel You were in the end of the copyright once, I think, with Fight the Flatter or something like that, and you guys talked that off, and you guys figured
I
it out,
won.
right?
Yeah, I did
That's
very
good.
similar thing to Flatzoid. And he's got the copy of what I submitted. And I took the strike. I appealed, and I won. So
excellent. Yeah.
I wouldn't expect to see a different outcome in this situation, guys. To be honest with you.
What you're looking at here is if the atheists win the debate, they're talking about censorship. That's what they really want at the end of the day. They don't care about the shape of the earth. They care about control and who is able to say what to who and when.
Exactly.
They care about scaring you with a copyright strike and trying to censor you with a copyright strike from Google, as if that's going to stop us. It's intimidation tactics, and it's scummy, as you've kind of alluded to, as everybody said. It's not in the context of the community that we have, whether we're on one side or the other. We've all used each other's content to make points. That's what he's done. That's the point that would be defended in a court if Mr. Sensible's going to turn up to court. And like I said, I asked that same question of Fight the Flat Earth, and he bottled it instantly. Because as soon as you go to court, which if you got right on your side, you're happy to do. And this is the point. YouTube have got a lot more savvy since my issue with Fight the Flat Earth, and I look forward to the outcome of this one. Like I said, there are repercussions of fake and malicious copyright strikes within YouTube now. So we'll see.
All right. Do you think that he would have copyright struck him had he contacted him beforehand and said, "Hey, man, I want to use some of your content. Is it okay?"
I think that's irrelevant.
Had a conversation. They would have a conversation and be like, "Okay, yeah, man, you can use this, do this, whatever." And then, do you think he would still copyright struck him after that?
Totally irrelevant to what YouTube will now decide based on the claim and the response.
Also, do you think that he tried to contact him or didn't try to contact him?
Totally irrelevant. If you look at the timeline, I wouldn't suggest it's in Mr. Sensible's favour if you wanted to cite that in a court of law, which is where it's heading. So,
yeah, I'd tell Jose after he said that live or whatever, I'd be careful about making money off that channel.
Hey guys, I'm going to shift the subject a little bit here. Ian Adams brought to my attention a new story that's kind of hit in the last day or so, it looks like. Futures now. Pentagon reveals microchip under your skin that detects COVID before you show symptoms. Has anybody heard about this? The device would be inserted under the skin in order to monitor your health, in turn detecting viruses and infections and stopping COVID in its tracks.
It just says under the skin. It don't say where, huh?
I don't know. I haven't gotten that far through it. It was developed by DARPA. It says the device could stop people unknowingly spreading the virus. It was debuted on 60 Minutes. That Army relation, Pentagon relation, obviously. You put it underneath your skin, and what that tells you is that there are chemical reactions going on inside the body, and that signal means you are going to have symptoms tomorrow.
Why haven't I heard of this? Maybe because I don't watch news.
I don't know.
Anybody else here that watch TV have seen this?
How do you know it's not the device putting the symptoms in?
Brandon, I'm going to post something in the chat for you just so you can see. This was talked about.
I haven't seen this either. Plenty of these flat Earth believers, they just blindly follow the television, and I haven't watched TV in a long time.
I don't watch TV either. I miss all this crap, but they're definitely out there.
That's how
experts out there.
A lot of these flat
That's the opposite. That's Nixon's direct quote in the CIA office says Americans will believe anything they see on the television.
Exactly, and that's how much of these flatalists are. They just watch TV blindly, and they just believe whatever they see and hear.
Yeah, okay, Lori, nice try.
Oh, you mean like your pulsars?
Did you just try to flip that?
Yeah, he tried to flip it. Nixon's direct quote on the CIA
but
headquarters.
it's true. You guys. Well, it might be YouTube, but you just believe what you see and hear. You Rob Skiba, whatever you have you believe, whatever you see, whatever you hear,
like the moon
videos.
landing.
Yeah, you believe.
Yeah,
like the moon landing.
Believers.
This is why I mean, open the history book with
You have
clear.
your believers too.
Yeah, no, let's hang on, Lori. Let's talk about the moon landing. Do you believe men landed on the moon? Lori.
There's no good evidence that they didn't.
Lori, answer my question, please. Do you
I didn't
believe
answer the
men...
bloody question, you bloody moron.
You did not answer
Don't
the question.
Guys, you guys are
don't
letting him
trigger.
derail the
Calm down.
conversation, guys. You really are.
Okay, sorry,
No,
sorry,
that's
Brandon.
okay, but
I'm out.
you're taking his bait.
So you believe
You're taking
because
his bait.
you saw some bloody idiot movie that they didn't land on the moon, you just blindly
Don't
believe
respond
that.
to him.
You're a
So
moron.
listen, look at this. This daily data. This is good. Thank you. Looks like Adam might have posted this as well, but it says more than 25% of all Americans and 44% of Republicans believe conspiracy theory that Bill Gates is plotting to use a COVID-19 vaccine to implant microchips in people, survey finds. This was on May 25th, 2020. April 12th, 2021, same newspaper. Pentagon scientists reveal a microchip that senses COVID-19 in your body before you show symptoms and filter that extracts the virus from blood.
I think that's two different things.
Pretty
Yeah, but did
damn
they mention
close,
it was in
Howard.
the vaccine?
Pretty damn close, Howard.
Yeah, it's both microchip, but the first way they're talking about slipping it in without you knowing it, kind of thing, and this would be something that would be optional.
True.
You know.
Yeah, that's true. There is that difference.
No, they're not going to slip it in without you knowing. They want you knowing. They want to know that you choose to have it. I'll digress.
Well,
There's
you
no
know,
microchip
if
as
I
small
trusted
as to go in a syringes like with the vaccine. There's no microchip that small that you don't gonna see it. You see the syringe, you see the liquid. There's no microchip that small.
The chip goes
Jose,
in with
are you familiar with nanotechnology?
Yes, I am. Show me evidence
Okay.
of it being used in humans like that.
I wouldn't want to take that quote, Brandon. I don't think that is me. What I would say, there's something I just caught on some of the alternative media on YouTube that I check up with today. And people in the UK are kicking off that in America, they're suggesting that there's going to be a microchip implanted in people that will enable the airports, whatever, to scan you to make sure you've had the vaccine. That's the.
I think that might be implemented in the whole world within 100 years from now, probably.
Live,
yeah, possible.
Yeah, but I mean, listen. If I trusted people
we
and I
still
thought that
derailed
our
from the
government
point?
had our best interests at heart, I would. This sounds pretty cool, right? If it actually did what it says it does. So this microchip.
Well, that's my point. It sounds like bullshit from a medical point of view. How does a microchip take in a virus, which people will even contend what you're supposed to be taking in? So I assume it's therefore taking in these spike proteins or exosomes. Yeah. How does a microchip do that? Analyze it, produce a report. What does it do? Put a little bit of ticker tape out, comes out your nose. Oh, you COVID. Yeah. Or do you scan it? Do you get me? It's impossible technology that's been. It's all fanciful, isn't it?
It is pretty fanciful.
Unless, of course, we are fully in that Orwellian society, which I wouldn't dispute.
This might point.
But you get, it's not commensurate with the level of technology that's presented in the medical world right now, is what I would say.
That's what I'm saying. That the fact that it comes from DARPA, you know, I suspect DARPA is probably the ones who are way far ahead of us. You know, the 20 to 40 years that we always talk about, however many years, decades it is ahead of us in technology from what's in the public. That would point to that being true. This type of device, I would think.
The COVID vaccine is the most great exponent of that claim. You know, we're purported to be given a vaccine, and yet actually, what comes out of this isn't a vaccine. It's not like, oh, this year's flu vaccine That's not what they produce for us. They didn't produce little de-attenuated parts of a virus like they claim they did with the flu vaccine. And what we saw was the most novel and ingenious piece of biotechnology that the world has ever seen. And instead of we have a vaccine, we inject these parts of a bad thing for our immune response to grab hold of and make antibodies to. Instead, we inject something which is a biological reprogramming device. Now, they discovered that this device the body rejects quickly, so they covered it in a ball of fat that has to be stored at funky temperatures, and this is why we see the outbreak of new vaccines. Well, I don't think there's anything greatly new in these vaccines. I think the delivery method is the novel thing with these vaccines. So having wrapped it in fat, it then goes in and makes our cells, it reprograms within our cells the proteins it's synthesizing, and it makes our cells synthesize these spike proteins, as they're called, these surface markers of these exosomes. That, to me, is a great way. That's new technology. This isn't recombinant stuff. This isn't as in reprogramming a cell and putting it and making it do something. This is injecting into cells and making them do other things. And we've got the greatest study of data ever with any clinical trial going off in the whole plane right now.
Oh, it is pretty remarkable. That's pretty insightful. In the fact that they did it in under a year. They just came out with this exactly when they needed to, supposedly, right? If you believe
that's
story.
probably my long-winded point, Brandon. Did they come out with it in a year? Was it Project Warp Speed, or was this shit planned for years? And this was the point of interjecting and to start the big worldwide clinical trial.
I mean, people are still getting injured from the regular flu shot. You ever heard of Guillain-Barré syndrome? And they've been working on the flu shot for fucking decades.
Please distinguish the difference there. These are very different. The standard flu shot, they claim, certainly from a UK point of view, they try and identify a variant in Southeast Asia that tends to have a replication over time. So they take that and they use that and they either denature it or they break it up. So there's just these spike proteins that they inject in your body. This is not at all what is happening with a COVID-19 vaccine. A COVID-19 vaccine goes in and reprograms your cells for an indefinite amount of time, which is yet to be identified from the data that I've read. Okay. And I've been offered to make a lot of money out of giving people these injections, which I've turned down. This thing then goes in and it makes your cells make these proteins that you will produce the antibodies to, that then gives you the supposed immunity. This is from a qualified pharmacist, like I said, that somebody that's could have taken the opportunity to be given these things. This is a great concern and not something I wish to engage in.
Well, and that's kind of evidenced by what's just happened in the last day here. I don't want to go too far down this path because they're making this big push and we're going to get ourselves in trouble here.
Yeah.
But with Johnson,
I'll stand by what I said from a
everybody.
Just on that,
hold on.
Just let me make that qualify for your channel. I stand by that as a qualified UK registered pharmacist. Okay, the trolls know me, so they've already attacked. Yeah, so there's no issue there, and that's my honest clinical appraisal of the data that is out there. Okay, so that's on me.
I didn't hear anything wrong with what you said.
No, I didn't hear anything wrong with it. I just know where this is going to go after this, but I did want to point out
a legal disclaimer is a good idea.
Yep.
That's on me, that statement. That's my appraisal of the data that I've been given and my professional understanding of these things. Like I said, from a point that I've been encouraged to earn a lot of money. I know people that are making £25,000 of the pharmacists a month, yeah, from giving these injections
How
out.
much?
So £25,000. What's that? About $40,000 a month at the moment in the UK. As we brag about our rate, as we announced today, we're 3 days ahead of giving everybody over 50 the opportunity to take this vaccine. We proudly announced we're going to start doing it to the people 40, people just over 40. So there's a lot of money being trousered right now.
Oh my gosh.
Have you guys seen the reaction vids?
No.
And, well, just one final thing on this, and it relates to the flu vaccine, certainly in the UK, and I think it probably fits quite well with the Walmart model and American pharmacy network. You've seen over the past 10, 20 years, the introduction into pharmacy, that pharmacists are giving you injections.
Yeah.
It's not pharmacy, right? We're pharmacists, okay? What we do is give good, honest advice on medicine, how it works, for you to make a choice on. Yeah. What we don't do is inject stuff for profit into people. And that's why I've said no. And I know there's others, but there's a lot of people who think about it.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate you standing up, to your up for your beliefs there. And just to, point something out, we've all heard, I'm sure, the last day or so that this there's been an issue with one of these that has caused them to pause it. And what the deal is there and the full story there is, I don't know, but it's room for concern, certainly.
There's been a lot of discussion over this, and this is what I say, we're in the middle of a clinical trial. They've announced to us it's safe. You've seen with the Pfizer vaccine across the UK that they kind of tried a bullshit statistical announcement that it was only 4 in every million person that might die of a blood clot from this. Just work out your chances of dying of COVID first before you statistics. That's 1 in every 200. 100 in every 250,000 people. Now, what you're seeing here in this announcement
is
that
greater than 1 in a million, or is it less than 1 in a million?
It's 4 in every million. So 4
So
times greater than 1 in a million. Yeah. What you're seeing here in the Johnson & Johnson's is another admission. And I think what this is in relation to, as described earlier, what we have is a way of, if the body just receives this piece of biotechnology, it tries to destroy itself, hence why it's required wrapping up. And I think this is what we're seeing is an interaction with this disguising mechanism and a very complex clotting mechanism within your bloodstream. It's very, very complex. 20 years old before I'd even try and attempt to quote it. 20 years ago, but I learned this stuff. But what you've got is a really complex cascade system here. And this stuff is clearly interfering with that. And this is why you're seeing these. And this is why vaccines and all these kind of medical things take years and years and years before they hit the market. And what we're seeing here is we're getting a couple of clinical trials, hitting a few people, so small that we're not seeing these side effects, but we are getting positive effects in terms of antibody production to COVID, which they'll test with. And in doing so, that's then hitting the market, which is not commensurate with any other kind of medical intervention, even pharmaceutical drug, never mind a vaccine, which tends to be a little bit more stringent because there's no because the litigation goes on the government, and yet we've seen this is not any of that. Like I said, this is a reprogramming of our cells, and wait for more is all I can say.
Yeah, that's
is
the part
my
that
honest
makes me
clinical
cautious, too.
opinion.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot more and a lot worse.
What?
I have a little. I'm sorry.
Reprogramming our cells.
DNA.
Yeah, so it goes in and it affects the protein synthesis via mRNA reverse transcriptase process. So it goes in, and when your cell makes these proteins for whatever reason, and this is the point. Previously we've had this recombinant technology where we reprogram the DNA and affect the strand. That's how we make synthetic insulin now. So we go in and we take a bacterial cell and we adjust its DNA. So instead of puking out stuff we don't want, it pukes out human insulin. Put that in, yeah. That's not what we're doing. Okay, so we're not reprogramming DNA. What it's doing is going inside the cell and telling the cell within itself to, instead of following its natural program, and make this for me, this dirty, filthy spike, which your body then ejects and then makes antibodies to. That's the theology behind this. This is why it's so perverse and why it's wrong to call it a vaccine, because people understand what a vaccine is from the days of Edward Jenner, cowpox, smallpox. We understand what conveyed immunity is. This is not that.
Yeah, on paper, on legal paper here in the U.S., it's being labeled an experiment.
Was that worth
And,
repeating?
a
Hang on.
lot of people,
Hayden asked
a lot of
Shill.
people
Still got something to say?
immune.
Just mentioned smallpox. Guy.
Whoever's
Is smallpox a bacteria or is it a virus?
Hey, I want to say with paid shill.
No, I'm asking him a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. I want to see if this guy knows. Is it a bacteria or is it a virus?
Yeah, I've heard smallpox is a virus.
Smallpox is, yeah. A piece of
Oh, it's a virus. Oh, okay.
Your understanding of how the RNA virus works is completely incorrect, by the way. Completely.
Are you a pharmacist?
You could get into that debate, but it's kind of not relevant to the point.
What you're doing is basically
there's
doing
both
the same.
RNA and DNA viral things that have been recognized over the past 10, 15 years. Yeah, I agree with all that. It's not relevant to the point I was making.
Well, the point
Yeah,
you're
Paige,
making is
I
that
think
you're
I can fix
programming your RNA, and you're not.
Okay,
it's no
Paige,
more than
I
giving
can-
you. It's giving you.
That's not what I said. I think I made it clear what the mechanism
Well,
of
you
action
made it sound a
was.
whole like it wasn't a vaccine, and basically it is the
Doesn't
same
matter
thing.
what you tell him. It doesn't matter what you tell him,
no.
Adam. He's looking for an argument.
No,
with you.
shut
It doesn't
up.
matter.
Listen to me.
It doesn't matter what you tell him.
Hold on, Matrix. Adam,
Let me make
Adam
it
can
clear
defend
then,
himself.
and then you can challenge the point that I made. The point I made was the way in which it's been portrayed to me is this injection works is instead of the standard vaccination method, which is to either give a part destroyed, so little chunks of for your body to produce antibodies to, or kind of weakened form for your bodies to tackle, which won't give the as big a response in your body. That's the standard methodology that we would call vaccine. What this thing does is it goes into your cell, okay, and it acts within the cell to make the proteins that are then going to be used.
That's exactly what the
these
vaccine
antibodies.
does. That's exactly what a vaccine does. Thank you very much.
No, it's not what a vaccine.
Yes, it does.
by
It's exactly the
standard
same thing. They're giving you
methodology does.
all that they're doing is giving you fake copies instead of having a weakened cell or it's a piece of the cell. It's a copy of the spike
So
protein.
the issue, yeah, exactly. So the issue is where do you get that spike protein from? In previous vaccinations, like I said, it's
But
either
you make it
via
sound some sort of evil thing that's doing
It's
something
very,
different than all other
very-
vaccines, and it's not.
massively different. That's the
No,
point I'm
only
trying
the
to-
technology.
So let me make the
is
point
paid
again now.
It-
Okay. So the other point, you either
with
inject
genetic
Okay, I think I can fix this because, Paid, I want you to know that you can get the vax if you want. And just make sure, as long as you also agree, I can say no thank you. There's no problem.
Sure, you can say no thank you. Go ahead and move up to Alaska and live all by yourself.
No,
Outside
that's
this
not good
society.
enough. That's not good
It is
enough.
good enough.
No, it's
Can
not.
I just make
hey,
a point
Peyton,
here?
that's a shill.
I'm,
You can
I'm
go
not saying
go
don't
fuck
get
yourself.
the vaccine, guys. I'm not saying get that vaccine. I'm saying, as a qualified pharmacist, if somebody asks me, it's my job, my professional duty, to provide that information in a clear and concise manner for them to, as a human being, to make that informed choice for themselves. Now, you may not choose to listen to the way I've explained it to you. That's up to you. But it's there for anybody else. That's why I did it, not necessarily for the person that wants to make their own point. That's how
How they got the
that's the
protein
differential,
is
and
new. When you
that's
put it
there for
inside your body, it
everybody.
does the exact same
That's
thing.
Why are you
there-
interrupting
Like,
him,
it does the
Peyton?
No,
exact
you
same
Why are you
thing.
interrupting?
Because he's interrupting me,
Maybe-
actually.
Maybe you're
No, he
missing the
didn't.
point then. So I'll make it again. The difference between conventional vaccination is that we inject the proteins right into the body for us to make antibodies against. With this one, what we inject is a biomechanical thing which goes into our cell and asks our cell to make.
No, you're incorrect. It is nothing more than a piece of the cell. It's a copy of the RNA protein. It's not the inside your body. It works exactly like any other vaccine. The
Why are you lying?
technology to get there was different.
I'll leave that out there for people to then research themselves and see if they think.
Well, what I understand, just right quick, that the mRNA vaccine, it provides your cells with a little transcript that your cell picked up, got the instruction to make this little spike, which your body then recognizes foreign and makes the antibody. But what I understand it is providing a piece of genetic information for your cell to make a protein. What I understood.
All right. Yep. Do your own research. Make your own mind up. Let's do final thoughts. It's about 10:02. Appreciate that insight there, Adam. You are a pharmacist and familiar with the field. Thank you very much. Let's start off with Bandsaw Bandit. Bandsaw, final thoughts?
Yeah, good show, mate. Good show.
Thanks, man. Bioduel. Brian Leakey. Car in Kentucky.
Thanks, Brandon. Everybody else, enjoyed the show.
Thank you, sir. Chrissy. Jeremy. Lori. Ed.
No, not
I
Ed.
was on mute. Hold on. Say that Rumpus can't understand statements by Newton about gravity. Comprehension skills are not his strong point. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Crit, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So great show. It was a lot of fun. Ed promised me a computer program that was going to knock me off the internet permanently. The computer, his bot glitched 3 times and then he ran away. So it was, and plus a great conversation. You know, like every topic today was right in my wheelhouse. So it was fun to participate. Thanks for sharing that graphic that I sent you in DMs.
Thanks, Crit. And if anybody out there wants to follow the Crit Ed saga, you can visit the Discord in the gossip room. Flat Earth Data.
Fun show. Shout out to George regarding the pendulum. You just confirmed my point when you said that there was a marginal error between the two items that you were trying to calculate the acceleration of gravitational acceleration. That was my point to begin with. It's not a constant 9.8 meters per second squared. It varies on the masses. Thanks.
Thanks, Data. Good white light.
Yeah, as far as the COVID vaccine, I'm wondering, is it possible for your body to know this code that we're supposedly programming ourselves to identify and create some sort of antibody, right? That's what it's doing. I'm proposing. Could it be possible that our body has a certain code that if it gets sick, it turns on this certain code? or poison. So does it have to be something physical, or is it something our body will do in response to when it gets poisoned? So that's the question I wanted to pose to the pharmacist.
My understanding on the limited clinical papers that are out there that I've read is that, and I alluded to it earlier, was this is the point of the liposome, the big fat ball that they're wrapping this thing in. When they first tried to just inject it to have the desired effect, it didn't work. Excuse me. Because the natural immune system actually attacked the thing that was coming in. So this is the point in wrapping it in this disguising molecule. There isn't a like I say, this is the point I alluded to earlier. And with regards to what Brandon raised, is this isn't, when I say it's novel, it's not only just novel in the way it works, it's novel in the way it's been introduced to the market. Not a thing out there like this that's being tested live on the public. And that's the reality of what we're seeing, is not controlled studies, it's just live testing, which is why you're seeing these things coming in. Yeah. And like I said, there will be more. Who knows what more? We have a system called the yellow card reporting system, which even after years of testing, pharmacists have to report novel and new kind of side effects or any obscure thing, with drugs for the first 5 years after they've been released. So, and this is after they've been released after stringent clinical trials. I'm not making a claim that this is some killer psycho Illuminati drug. I'm saying what's very different is the way it's hit the market, and if you can comprehend that, then you can make an informed choice with regards to your supposed risk of COVID and your supposed risk with regards to taking the vaccine. And like I say, look at the statistics yourself. They're there for you to make that informed choice yourself.
Fair enough. Thanks, Adam.
I think we can all.
Oh, hold on, guys. We're starting another conversation.
Hold on. I had one more thing to say. Hey, I was somewhere where they could place little servers in your body with hydrogel. And they can literally place these in millions of people, creating just walking servers for these corporations to collect biomarkers. If you don't believe me, I'll share the video. And I think that's what they're doing in this fact.
Yeah, we'd definitely like to see that next time you're around. Let's check that out, or even in a few minutes.
Yeah, I'll post it when I get a chance.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. Illegal. James.
Everybody's Truman. May the force be with you.
Thanks, James. Jace. Jose.
A very good advice that I have for everybody that look into this type of streams and open hangouts, right? If you would like to learn the real and true shape of the Earth, which is a rotating spheroid, research flat Earth. Thank you.
Thanks, Jose. Left lane.
Good show, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Matrix.
Good show today, Brandon. Very interesting. Thank you for the Adam Meekin for the explanation. And to pay NASA Shield, fuck you for your interruptions.
Thanks, Matrix. Pebble. Hey, Pebble.
Hello.
Pebbles, what up?
Doing good. Yeah, I got some more footage. I could probably come on tomorrow and show my stuff.
Perfect. Would love to have it. Yep.
And then to Lauri, kello on kyllä aika paljon, että olisi varmaan aika mennä nukkumaan.
Näin taitaa kyllä olla.
Jeps.
He just dissed you in another language, homie.
You guys just about to hawk loogies up or what? What's going on here?
Yeah.
Thanks, Pebble.
You just got this, bro.
Puncture ball. Rob on the level keen.
Thanks for having me, Brandon. Level is a horizontal line.
Thank you, sir.
Shout out to the Bev Colt.
Adam.
Shout out to reality.
Yes, sir. Only popped in for quite a night. It's been a long one. Lot of stuff covered. I think get the ballers. For me, the good thing that came out of tonight is Sir Isaac Newton. Other than the stuff that's ascribed to him, a very intelligent man whose works outside of trying to explain a nonsensical thing of mass attracting mass. His other works are very, very worthy of reading. Like I said, we alluded to some of his understanding 300-400 years ago, yeah, of the fakeness of chronology and called into question Schallenger's work. So, yeah, for me, yeah, that's the thing to look at. Other than obviously the great lesson we learned from George with regards to geometry. But, yeah, cheers, Brandon.
Thanks, Adam. Bob. No, Bob. Okay, my final thoughts. Thanks to the panel for being here tonight. Yeah, we got to talk about history sometime soon. I don't know who in the community has a really good grasp on the history stuff, the Schallenger stuff and all that. But
Flamenco.
Maybe Flat Earth, what is it? British Flat Earth British?
Fine.
Yeah, maybe I'll ping him and see if he's willing to come on and talk to us sometime.
Make sure I'm there because I love a good catch up with Mark. I'd love to chat. I mean, certainly in terms of Flamenco's work, I read volumes 1 and 2 well before Flat Earth. It was part of my
Adam making puff pass. You're sucking it.
Jose, dude.
Jose, I got.
Please demonstrate how very little you are read, sir.
Puff pass, Adam.
Jose,
Come
you gave me
on.
4 final thoughts on your today, Jose. Come on.
You see?
All right. I'll be back.
But any time, Brandon, certainly in terms of Flamenco's chronology, I'd love to chat on that anytime, mate.
All right, we'll do that sometime. Yep.
Jose's not being interrupted. I'd hate to do that as well.
Yeah. He won't. He only comes certain days, so Jose won't be here. Anyway, thank you guys for all coming and appreciate it. I'll be back. I will hit the record button on the after show, so you will be being recorded. But feel free to talk about whatever you want. I'll be back. Thanks. Okay, thanks everybody. It was a good night. I thought there was some good discussion outside of bickering about geometry, which was funny at times anyway. But we will see you tomorrow night. Sounds like Pebble in the Pond's got some new observations for us to look at. So that's cool. He must have been tinkering around in the garage. Maybe it's warm enough over there for him to reverse what he did last winter. And we'll get some new stuff. Who knows? So look forward to that. And Brian's Logic was going to present either yesterday or today, but he had some conflict. So he'll be around next week, it sounds like, possibly. So we got that to look forward to, and who knows what else. No show Thursday, no show. Unfortunately, I got roped into driving my brother to the airport, so yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, we'll be here tomorrow, Friday. We'll see you then. Thanks again. Bye.